Chapter 141. I Impossible. They actually got a strengthening fragment out of a mutant? I repeat the words I heard Tripp say moments ago over and over in my head. His words mixed with the expression of pure shock on the man's face give me a quite uneasy feeling. Impossible? Why would it be impossible? I look over at my team, then back at Tripp. It seems like none of them overheard his mumbles like I did. My 2 seconds of happiness have run their course after leaving the Titan's domain. Now, another eerie, spiraling sense of paranoia fills my head. Technically, the fragment didn't come from the mutant. That's what makes all of this even worse. None of the mutants I've defeated by myself dropped any fragments, and none of the ones we killed today did either. Still, their drop rate is apparently 1%. It would be completely normal for us not to get one for a while. We would be lucky if we got one all week at this rate. This quota should be impossible to meet. Impossible! I turn to Tripp. He's still staring at the black gem in Maria's hand from a distance with his mouth wide open and face white like he's seen a ghost. There's definitely something fishy going on here. After our celebration of collecting a single strengthening fragment after a long day of work dies down, Tripp calms himself down as well, returning to normal. The 3 others look to him for guidance, and I play along doing the same. He smiles and points behind him. Well, great first day of work. We should start heading back now. It'll take quite a while to make our way to the dungeon's entrance. We all nod in agreement and follow our blonde-haired guide back through the Great Plains. We face 3 more mutants and dozens of underlings, but they're taken out with ease, dropping nothing but mana crystals. As we near the exit gate, Abby speaks up to the group. Hey, now that you're all a part of the association, why don't we get rooms at the Vanguard Heights? We're all going to be spending a lot of time in the city. We might as well get a nice place to stay. I look at her with a confused expression. The Vanguard Heights? What exactly is that? Tripp grins and steps in. It's a residential building. Well, more of a residential tower. Only hunters from the association are allowed to stay there. It's a pretty exclusive apartment complex. I'd recommend it. My apartment there is incredible. There's always space available for people with contracts. We could go and get you 4 situated tonight. I look over to Ari and Maria. Both of them are grinning ear to ear. I nod. Sure. Let's check it out right after we leave the dungeon. Maria jumps in, holding up the black gem. What about this? Aren't we going to hand in our loot soon? I chuckle. Sure. We'll be meeting at the association HQ tomorrow morning anyways. We can just hand it in then. Sound like a plan? With a firm nod, she replies. Okay, makes sense. The 5 of us leave the dungeon and make our way up to the surface. It's late and I'm starving. The rest of my group feels the same way. Tripp leads us to the Vanguard Heights, telling us on the way that we can get food there. It's about 1 kilometer for the dungeon hub, in the opposite direction of the association's building. The dungeons are right in the middle of the 2. Once we arrive, I take a long look at the towering blue glass building. The sun is setting, and the orange beams of light reflect off the 50-story tower with an incredible dazzling glow. The front doors glide open in silence as we're greeted by a tall, thin man in a black tuxedo with the Hunters Association logo in small print on his white handkerchief. Welcome to the Vanguard Heights residence. It seems we have some newcomers today. How may I help you all? Tripp smiles at the tall man, nodding to him as he walks by. He waves and speaks up before disappearing into the lobby. They'll take good care of you all. I'm heading off for the night. Meet you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Got it? Especially you, Jay. Maria giggles at that last line as Ari approaches the tall man who greeted us. We'd like to rent some rooms. The 4 of us are new C-Class hunters at the association. He bows. Congratulations on your promotions. Please, follow me. The old dapper-looking gentleman turns and leads us to a long white marble desk where he scans all of our cards and collects the proper payment. I look around the lobby as he does so. The floors and furniture are all completely white. There's simplistic art on the walls near the elevator doors. The tall ceiling sports a blue crystal chandelier matching the windows. For a premium suite, it'll be 1 gold a month. I fork over another shiny coin, looking down at my diminishing supply. I need to go farm a lower-level dungeon and build up my balance again soon. If I want to pay rent here and continue buying MP to support my future training, I'm gonna need a lot more money. I take my new room key after signing all the proper documents. It's a small silver card with the number 4207 printed in thin black text on the front. My apartment is on the 42nd floor, room 7. The four of us turn to the elevator, waving to the tall man. He nods back with another slight bow. Welcome to the Vanguard Heights. I hope you enjoy your stay. There are restaurants and entertainment on the 21st floor. Please feel free to indulge yourselves in the services offered. With that being said, we make our way up to the 21st floor without hesitation. The white-walled elevator glides up over 20 floors in a matter of seconds, and we arrive to see a magnificent view. Neon lights, food and drink, games and girls. They have it all. I've stumbled upon degenerate heaven. There's an entire entertainment center on the 21st floor. Half a dozen restaurants, another half a dozen bars, some small casinos and clubs, a spa, hunters trading stores run by the association, and even a few training rooms available to rent. I stare in awe as we walk over to a restaurant that suits our fancy. Let's play it cool tonight. We have a long week ahead of us. Once we complete our first mission, I say we give this place a run for its money. We each order a good meal and a few drinks. Unfortunately, my self-regeneration keeps me from feeling the alcohol, but it's the thought that counts. After a satisfying meal, the four of us break off to check out our new apartments. We all agree to meet each other in the lobby tomorrow around 8:30 a.m. I ride the elevator to the 42nd floor and scan the silver card on the small black square above my room's door. With a light click, the door slowly swings open without making a sound. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is a view. The cool white marble floor leads forward about 10 meters, opening up into a large living room area with a clear staircase on its right side, leading up to a bedroom loft. There are two large white couches on either side of the main room facing each other with a long silver table between them. The far wall of the apartment is blue-tinted glass that overlooks the city's night lights. Off to the left is a long white and silver counter with a smooth black stove and cooking equipment. Further down the hall on the apartment's left side is a guest room, an extra bathroom, and an empty office. I sprawl out onto one of the couches and let out a satisfied sigh. Staring out into the night sky with thousands of building lights flashing below, I remember my last task of the night, Ember. While out hunting today, I thought this issue over many times in my head. I have to figure out a way to have him by my side at all times without anyone noticing. There's a possibility he'll be able to fit in my pocket dimension that I use to store items. Unfortunately, I was just way too exhausted to even try that before I left last night. I could give it a try right now. With that, I hop off my comfy couch and make my way downstairs. As I walk through the lobby with a smile plastered across my face, I hear a familiar low voice. "Where are you going in such a hurry? Mind if I join?" I turn to see Ari sitting on one of the guest couches in the lobby. He gets up and makes his way over to me while continuing to speak. "I was going to go late-night hunting as well. I knew you wanted to see one of those titans for yourself too. You were just keeping your cool in front of Trip, weren't ya?" He lets out a laugh as we both walk toward the lobby's front door. I reply, "Hey, I'm by no means trying to fight a titan tonight. If Trip says they're Dan dash." "Oh, don't give me that." Ari smirks at me as the sliding doors open and we step out into the cool night air. "I don't believe for a second you take anything that guy says to be true at face value." I give Ari a side eye, then let out a light exhale through my nose. He's right, and he knows he's right, but he has no idea what he's getting himself into. The hooded bow wielder puts his hand around my shoulder and continues talking. "I was going to face those things on my own anyways. So either you come and make it easier on me, or I get to hit up all the fun for myself." Ari is really trying to get himself killed, isn't he? Is this what I seem like every time I jump into something crazy? Is this why everyone around me says I'm a lunatic? It's starting to make sense. If I go with him, at least I'll be able to guide him away from those monsters. Plus, If I lead him away from the Titans all night, we can farm some mutants and see if their drop rate of 1% is actually true. That last remark that Trip made is really eating away at the back of my mind. Is it really impossible to get a strengthening fragment out of a mutant? I let out a sigh, then give Ari exactly what he wants. Fine. I'll help you find a Titan. Chapter 142. Ari and I walk through the capital with the cool night's breeze at our backs. We're really going back to the Great Plains dungeon. It's only been a day or so in the real world's time since I even discovered this place even existed. I'm already thoroughly sick of it. The two of us make it to the C-Class gate, down the escalator to the platform, and off to the dungeon in a matter of minutes. We enter the vast open air of the Great Plains and begin our trek. Walking all the way back to the mutant spawn range doesn't seem like a proper use of time. Ari has seen me use my dungeon walker skill. He even covered for me to hide it from Trip earlier. I turn to him with a serious look on my face but crack a grin before letting out any words. Hey, let's make this a little faster. I watch Ari start to nod. Before he can respond, I place my hand on his shoulder and activate Dungeon Walker. Less than a second later, we're 10 kilometers into the dungeon with a mutant charging at us at full speed. Ari stretches his bow back and releases a single shot. A thin white arrow silently flies through the air. It pierces the monster's forehead and it falls to the ground, defeated in a single blow. We walk over to the dissolving corpse. I speak up as we wait for it to completely disappear. So, want to try and farm a couple of hundred mutants tonight? Maybe we can stack enough fragments to complete this week's quota. Ari looks me up and down curiously, then replies, Do you really believe that? I squint my eyes, looking back at him. What do you mean by that? I saw the way Trip reacted to us finding that fragment too. I just hide my emotions a lot better than a toddler. I respond, a bit embarrassed of my ignorance. Well, hey, I'd like to farm at least 100 of them tonight, just to test if that drop is accurate. I can teleport us to the nearest ones pretty quickly. It wouldn't hurt to test it out. Ari nods slowly. Fine, but this is pointless. I'll farm 100 with you. Then you bring me to a Titan. Deal? I gulp. Ari, I dash. Deal? I roll my eyes. I'll bring you to one. If for any reason you can't handle it, I'm teleporting you out. Ari smirks. Good enough for me. Great. Over the next 3 hours or so, we zip around the dungeon taking out mutant after mutant. Multiple times during my enemy detection scanning, I sense a level 404 moving slowly off in the distance. It's most definitely Ember patiently drifting through the skies waiting for my return. After 100 mutants, not a single one dropped a fragment. They did drop a ton of mana crystals though, which Ari let me keep in exchange for my transportation services. After taking into account my sword's mana output and Dungeon Walker usage, I've netted nearly 20,000 MP worth of crystals. After the last mutant, Ari speaks the words I've been dreading to hear. It's time to find that Titan. Come on Jay, let's check one out. I know you're inching to fight it too. I close my eyes and scan the dungeon with enemy detection to find the closest section on my radar that shows up completely blank. These void creepers hog up all the mana around them, making a spot so dense it's impossible to detect anything within 500 m or so of them. About 20 kilometers further in, there's a section of the dungeon that fits the mana reading perfectly. I haven't ventured that deep in yet, but got pretty close my last time around. I reply to Ari. The closest I can dungeon walk within range is about 3 kilometers away. We'll have to make the trek on foot from there. That'll do the trick. All right, hold on. I unwillingly grab Ari by the shoulder and teleport us much deeper into the Great Plains. It would be the smart thing to just tell Ari what happened to me the last time I faced off against a Titan, but something is holding me back. I don't want anyone to know about Ember, especially the fact that I have a magically contracted alliance with a monster. Maybe I'm being overly paranoid again, but this secret seems like one I should actually keep. My loudmouth attitude about my skills hasn't completely backfired on me just yet. I should learn from that and really try to keep quiet about this one. Once we blip into existence on the far side of the dungeon, our long trek forward begins. My heart beats and my breathing gets faster and faster. I'm actually pretty scared. Last time I had a lucky break, and I mean a really lucky break. This time, if we're caught in an endless void of mana, I'm not so sure we can make it out alive. I don't even have any food or water to survive the endless abyss. As I keep my enemy detection radar open, I continue to sense the level 404 dragon soaring nearby, less than 5 kilometers nearby in fact. I decide to open a telepathy link from long range. Hello? Ember? Can you hear me? Back so soon, Master? It's Jay. Not Master. I apologize, old habits die hard. It's good to know you're doing well, Jay. What are your orders? Shall I collapse this dungeon? Hey, just hold on a minute. I still have a few things to do here. I'll just be approaching another Titan shortly. If you could watch nearby, that would be great. I'm with another human, so don't let yourself be seen. Got it. Understood. I can sense your presence already. I'm on my way. I will watch from a distance and only intervene if your life is in danger. Thank you. I disable the link and continue walking onward with Ari by my side. It only takes another 20 minutes before I can feel and hear the horrible humming sound of my 30-day nightmare return. Just over one of the tall hills in front of us, I can sense that awful power. The link to a space between realms. A creature that infects dungeons, slowly absorbing everything in sight, then creeping away to find another dimension with mana-rich prey. I clench my jaw, then reach into my item storage to grab my dagger. Ari notices and speaks up. Oh, would you look at that? A new dagger? Isn't that dash? Hey, get serious. It's right over this hill. At any point, if we're on the losing side here, I'm teleporting us out. Got it. Ari straightens his shoulders and readies his bow. You're really spooked by these things, aren't you? I don't think I've ever seen you like this. He grins as we walk up the hill. I grip my weapons tight and let out a low-toned response. Just get ready, and keep your guard up, no matter what. I'm completely terrified. My knuckles are turning white from squeezing my blades and sweat is starting to roll down my forehead on both sides. Shivers are starting to creep through my spine as the hum gets louder. I feel the familiar mana seep into my body. I grit my teeth hard as we make it to the top of the hill. Both of us stand atop a valley between high points. I gasp, looking down at the sight below us. It's another one. A 30 tall Titan, roughly 400 in front of it. The slow-moving mass of black energy mindlessly makes its way toward us, destroying dirt and rock in its path like it's kicking up sand. Ares' eyes open wide as he creates a thin white glowing arrow. I raise my sword and dagger watching the behemoth move across the wide open plains. It looks identical to the last one I faced. I mumble under my breath. How are we going to defeat this thing? Ari lets out a chuckle while pulling the white arrow back in his bowstring. It begins to glow brighter than I've ever seen it glow before. He holds it in place for a full 5 seconds. The tan-skinned archer smirks, then releases the arrow soar and lets out a loud grunt while doing so. Let's see if it can handle that. The moment his arrow leaves the bow, it condenses into a thin, compact line of white light. Without a sound, I watch it fly toward the Titan in a straight line all the way down from over 300 away. The mindless blob of human-shaped black mass continues charging forward in no specific direction as the glimmering white arrow shoots toward it at full speed. Moments later, the attack makes contact with the monster's featureless face. I already have a premature sigh ready, as I know the inevitable outcome of the attack will just be it slipping through the endless void. I begin activating my Dungeon Walker skill to get us out of here, but pause midway through as I watch in disbelief. The white glowing arrow from Ares' bow flies through the Titan's head, but it leaves a wide hole in its place, followed by the eerie metallic screech of a Titan being injured and flailing its arms. I do a double take, looking back and forth at Ari grinning and the 3 wide hole he just blasted through the Titan's head with a single bow attack. Eyes wide and jaw dropped, I take in the situation in front of me for a few seconds, then slowly grin. Maybe we can defeat a Titan. Chapter 143. Ari really did it. He managed to land an attack on a Titan. There is actual physical damage on one of these massive sentient endless voids of mana. I'm not sure exactly how his attack is able to do it, but that doesn't matter right now. Ari smirks, looking over to me. See, they're not that bad. You were scared for nothing. I still stare wide-eyed at the beast but crack a small smile. I guess you were right, they dash. Stopping halfway through my reply, the grin plastered across my face slowly fades away. The 3M wide hole on the front of the Titan's featureless face begins to shrink, and the humming sound of dense mana in the air begins to grow louder and louder. It's still well over 200 m away, but approaching at a steady rate. Ari tightens his bowstring again and readies another arrow. The smart thing to do would be to grab him and dungeon walk out of here before that Titan releases its shockwave like before, casting us off into the endless void within it. My curiosity takes over though. I want to see what kind of attack his new bow shot really is. Activating my all-seeing eye, watching the mana flow through Ares' body as he charges up another arrow. That's right, he charges up his arrow. Highly refined mana flows through his body to form a dense arrow in his quiver. It's similar to my own refined mana. The archer lets the arrow soar again. It flies through the air, leaving a light white glow in its wake. I recognize this arrow from the exam, but I didn't have the same understanding of mana control back then. I'm sure Ares' legendary grade skill adds to its power, but the actual strength behind his attack is due to the density and purity of the mana within it. I gave him a lot less credit than he deserved. Ari has been a much more skilled hunter than I first imagined. As his arrow soars, more connections come together in my head. I remember watching my own refined mana attacks splitting through the void like butter, soon to heal up just like Ares' first unsuccessful strike. Maybe my own attack will be strong enough to pierce the void of a Titan from the outside now too. I grin as his arrow slices another clean 3M wide hole in the monster's featureless head. Gripping both of my blades, I begin to charge up an attack of my own. Just one. Then I'll portal us out of here. I carefully open the spatial magic portal of my item storage against my back. I've been meaning to try a move like this for a while. Letting the mana crystals fall out, the moment they make contact with my body I activate Plunderer and take in their MP. My attack charges up slowly as the Void Creeper's wound heals. I've rested and regained a lot of my strength since the last time I tried one of these attacks. The mana coursing through my veins feels denser and more stable than ever before. The only problem is the speed of absorption. For this is a trial run, I don't need to go all out, but I want to release something very powerful. After about 30 seconds, I channel over 10,000 MP into my blades and let the crescents of energy soar. Not having an abundance of pure mana around me makes it much harder to plunder and imbue my blades. The efficiency rate has dropped by nearly 1/3 outside the Titan's domain. Even in my slightly weakened state, I still let out a devastating attack. The transparent blade of wind and the deep black blade of fire cut through the air, aiming straight toward the monster's midsection. My perception of time slows down as I watch this attack slowly near its target. The nagging sensation of a voice at the back of my mind becomes louder and louder until I give in and open my telepathy link. Ember's voice rings out. Run. I swallow hard, shifting my gaze toward Ari as he cheers me on. I'm holding both of my blades, so the only thing I can think of doing is to jump straight at him to make physical contact. My shoulder hits him in the chest and I mutter the only two logical words in the moment. Dungeon Walker. We blip away using the last remaining stores of MP in my body after releasing that attack. Both of us fall to the group about 3 kilometers away. Ari yells out, "Hey, I was just about dash." An earth-shattering crack interrupts him, followed by the loud metallic hum of a Titan's domain being activated from a distance. A huge dust cloud forms on the horizon as I see a black void erupt outwards in a spherical shape easily 500 m in diameter. Then, it shirks and disappears completely in an instant, leaving the two of us in a silent dungeon. I activate my telepathy link with Ember, and he replies almost immediately. You cannot defeat a Void Creeper with brute strength. The only way I know of to defeat it is to plunder its entire pocket dimension neatly dry of MP until the link to our realm collapses. I could easily take it out for you. This won't take more than a few hours. You're not going back into its domain, are you? That would be the quickest way, but it's far too risky for you to come along. I'll be able to handle myself in a fight with a mindless low-rank void creeper. Plus, it'll have plenty of mana for me to plunder into EXP. The level-up threshold has reached a rather high limit, but we may be able to gain a level or two from this one. What is it? An idea pops into my head that should have come far sooner. I must have been scared out of my mind of these creatures, that I forgot Ember was the one that defeated with ease. As a level 1, could you farm the Titans in the back of the dungeon while I train with my team this week? Certainly, it would be my pleasure. I smirk, looking over to Ari as he still stares wide-eyed off into the distance, watching the massive dust cloud settle. Interesting. Take out as many as you can. I'll meet with you as soon as I can. As you wish. I sever the telepathy connection and stand to my feet. Ari speaks up in a quiet tone. Did we get it? I let out a chuckle.
No.
Far from it. That thing is still perfectly fine. Ari gulps, then grins, then lets out a laugh of his own. Well, I guess you were right. They were a bit too strong for us. I scratched the back of my head while plundering the MP of a fresh mana crystal taken out of my mana storage. Let's head back. I dash. Ari cuts me off. Wait, before we do, that attack you let out. You've trained your mana control too? I've never seen you let out an attack like that. Were you just hiding it before? I look Ari up and down with curiosity, then respond. I trained for a while to build up my control. I don't like to use it often, just like a lot of my skills and techniques. He nods. All right. I won't pry. It's just another thing we have in common. I know how long and hard the training can be. I went through hell when I was a kid back in my village. I give him a firm nod and a light smile while putting out my hand. Let's head back. I think we've gotten out fill of Titans for the night. Maybe we'll come back and take one out when we get a bit stronger. How about that? Ari grabs my hand and nods as I teleport us back to the dungeon's start point. We make our way out of the hub and back to our new residence quickly. Overall, I think that was a pretty good night run. I managed to touch base with Ember to get our future plans in order, strengthen my theory about the mutant's non-existent drop rate, and even bonded with Ari over his mysterious ability to also wield condensed mana. We make it back to the Vanguard Heights and call it a night. I take a long hot shower, then walk up the clear staircase at the far side of my living room up to the bedroom loft. After staring out the blue glass window for a few minutes, I drift off to sleep. The next morning, I wake up to the sound of a ringing notification as the sun begins to rise. Level up. I check my status and see that I've grown to level 405 overnight. Thanks to my EXP share, I've gained a level in my sleep. He said the new leveling threshold was low, but this low. Hopping out of bed, I get dressed and make my way down to the lobby. My 3 teammates are already waiting for me. We grab a bite to eat on the way to the association's HQ, and the 4 of us arrive with a few minutes to spare. As we walk through the sliding doors, Maria insists that we hand in the strengthening fragment from yesterday's hunt. Abby agrees, and they are already halfway down the first narrow hallways at the back of the lobby before it's too late. Ari and I don't get much input on the situation, so we both follow with a shrug, interested to see where this goes next. A short walk later through the neon shop signs, and we're face to face with the white-haired association merchant named Sophie. She greets us with a smile as Maria hands her the little black gem. Here you go. We got our first strengthening fragment yesterday. Only 9 more to go. The short woman blinks at us a few times with her mouth wide open as the coin-sized fragment falls into her hands. There's an awkward silent pause for a few seconds. Then she speaks. Very well. The merchant woman puts the small stone into a concealment case under the counter, then taps on a small silver tablet a few times before looking up at us. Your progress has been updated. 9 more to go. She lets out a thin smile, but I'm not buying it. I chime in. Hey Sophie, I'd like to ask you a few things about these strengthening fragments if you don't mind. Is that all right with you? Chapter 144. The short white-haired woman looks at me with a troubled look on her face. What exactly are you trying to learn about strengthening fragments? As I prepare to speak, I position my right hand on the counter's edge. Well, first of all, tell me why these fragments are so valuable. What are they even used for? A sigh of relief escapes the merchant's lips as she stands up straight again, exuding a newfound sense of confidence. Well, if that's all, please let me explain. Strengthening fragments are what some in the association call the war drug. I scrunch my eyebrows, looking at her with a confused expression across my face. A war drug? Why is it called that? Or, I don't really care why it's called that. Just explain it to me in simple terms. What do they do? Sure. They got the war drug nickname from hunters that got addicted to these things back in the Great War. They're consumables, boosting your MP output for a few seconds, maybe even close to a minute. I raise an eyebrow. The merchant woman shakes her head and raises both hands in the air. Hey, don't get any funny ideas. If you took one of these right now, you'd end up in the hospital, no doubt. Their usage is highly restricted and only approved for certain high-ranking hunters for vital missions these days. Elites aren't even allowed unless given special permission. They're also used for certain crafting recipes. Their dormant mana output is a good catalyst for all kinds of item creation spells. She whispers under her breath in a mumbled tone. I don't know why the director put the four of you in charge of collecting fragments. Sure is a crazy week one assignment if you ask me. I nod, crossing my arms and thinking about what a fragment would feel like, or how exactly they work. They must feel really good. A familiar voice snaps me out of my daydream as I turn to see Trip walking toward us while a wide grin across his face. I had a feeling I'd find you guys here. Looks like you're all on time today. He looks at me with a smirk while I roll my eyes. Yeah, I made it. Trip glances towards Sophie, and their eyes meet briefly, exchanging a shared look of concern. Trip turns his gaze back to the four of us and puts both of his hands up in the air. Ready to get the day of hunting started? With a collective nod of agreement, we all proceed to follow Trip, leaving the backrooms and out onto the busy street. Before we know it, we're in the Great Plains getting ready to fight. The first few kilometers in are the worst. Everyone here but Trip knows about my teleportation skill. It's a bit of a drag to keep it hidden, but I'd rather not have him know about it. He's a nice guy and all, it's just that the association has its claws deep in him. I can tell if it were a choice between my livelihood and making the director happy, he'd choose him without hesitating for a second. Level up. During our walk, I level up again. I curiously check my status to see the blue text show level 406 without a doubt. I can't help but smile, reassured by the thought of Ember diligently chipping away at the mindless titans at the back of the dungeon. The mobs are easy pickings over the next 2 hours or so until we finally make it into a range of potential mutants. Ari is the first to speak up. Hey Trip, we should split up and track down the mutants individually. Don't you think that'd be a better use of our time? Each of us can definitely handle these monsters by ourselves. The blonde-haired dagger wielder shrugs while scratching his chin. Sure, I don't see why not. None of you are going to get lost in here, will you? Wearing a smirk, he looks over all of my teammates before pausing his gaze on me. I respond with a bored expression, noticing his growing fondness for singling me out lately. I can't say I'm a huge fan of being Trip's verbal punching bag. I'm the least of your worries. We'll see about that. How about we all meet back here in 3 hours? If everything goes well, we can do one more breakout and call it a day. The four of us nod in agreement. Ari already knows I'm teleporting out of here the moment our guide loses sight of me, and the others assume as much too. Our teleporting mutant killing spree begins the second we cross over the nearest hill. I explain the game plan and they all grab onto my arm. I blip to the nearest mutant and drop air off. I'll be back shortly. Seconds later, I leave Abby with a mutant 2 kilometers away. Then, in the blink of an eye, I drop off Maria another 1 kilometer into the dungeon. I zip back and forth, letting the 3 of them collect mana crystals and kill mutants along with their underlings. It's a very efficient battle plan. I even kill a few while I wade in between their fights. In this short period of time, we manage to defeat close to 200 mutants. Oddly enough, not a single one drops a strengthening fragment. I teleport the three of them back near the meeting point assigned by Trip once we've finished this farming session. I turn around to look deep into the dungeon. I'll be back in 10 minutes, 20 tops. I just need to check on something. They all give me exhausted waves and don't seem too worried about me going off alone for a bit. With a shrug, I dungeon walk away before any of them can change their minds. In the blink of an eye, I teleport over 15 kilometers and activate my telepathy skill. I watch the crimson underside of my dragon's wings flap above me. The glossy black-scaled beast glides down to greet me. Good to see you, Jay, welcome back. I have some good and bad news for you. I smile but raise an eyebrow at the same time. It's good to see you too, Ember. Go ahead. Lay the bad news on me first. The majestic creature bows its head. It seems as though our leveling progression has slowed. As I said before, the threshold to higher levels gains will not be easily met with these low-ranked void creepers. Even the one we were trapped in hardly gave us levels during our last few hours inside. I nod, tapping a foot on the hard dungeon ground as he continues. Our best options to ensure my next rank up in the future would be finding a large labyrinth to run, or defeating many higher-level beings. I let out a chuckle. Yes, that much I assumed. I'm working on getting us set up with one of those options soon. Now, what's the good news? The 7M long creature opens its mouth wide to reveal a small pile of black gemstones inside. With a tilt of his head, they glimmer slightly in the sunlight while falling to the dungeon floor. They all hit the dusty soil with small thuds one by one. Frozen in awe for a moment, I count the mini gemstones scattered across the ground. Once they're all mentally accounted for in my head, my body finally moves to respond. You managed to defeat 12 of them. You killed 12 titans overnight? I grin while picking up the stones, then letting them make light clicking sounds as I roll them around together in my open palm. I did. I'll be able to defeat more if you please. After another dozen or so we will gain another level, but I don't think it's worth the time to stay here much longer. I can collapse this dungeon at your dash. I laugh out loud, rudely cutting Ember off. Sorry, but we won't be collapsing this gold mine anytime soon. The dragon turns its head to the side curiously as I hold up one of the black stones up high in the air between us. See these? Humans pay a lot of money for gems like this. I'll be training with my team for another 5 days after today. I want you to collect as many of these little black stones as you can. Get your fill on these titans. Once we leave this dungeon, it'll be near impossible to find mana that dense. Trust me. Very well. I will gladly plunder the MP from these pests. Great. Glad you enjoy the work. I'll see you soon, Ember. I shut off the telepathic link and watch my black-scaled companion flap his wings and fly up into the sky. I walk through the open-air dungeon for a moment, continuing to roll the dozen black gems around in my hands. I decide to place 11 of them in my item storage and leave one out. I toss it up and down while looking off into the distance. Letting out a sigh, I bring my gaze back to the tiny dark, glistening crystal resting in the palm of my hand. I wonder what it'd feel like to try one of these strengthening fragments? Chapter 145. I bring the small black crystal in my hand up to my lips. The words of the white-haired merchant repeat over and over in my mind. It's a mana output boosting drug that's used for wars and important missions. This fragment must be pretty powerful. I gulp, looking down at the glistening stone. After learning what these gems can do, my body is aching to try it. On the other hand, my mind is telling me no. Ever since I left my mana-rich cell within the Titan's domain, the lack of MP in the air comes nowhere close to the richness of energy I felt before. These stones must be some kind of residual link between our realm and the deteriorated pocket world of the fallen void creepers. The latent power stored up in one of these must be near limitless. Probably feels incredible. Plus, this could be extra training for my mana control, right? I open my telepathic link between myself and the dragon flying away from me. Ember, I have one last task for you before I'm off. Of course, what will it be? Watch me closely for a minute. I'm gonna try something stupid. If anything goes wrong, well, try and help me, I guess. Understood, master. The glossy black-scaled dragon changes direction and drifts down toward me as I bring the shiny gem closer and closer to my mouth. It leaves my fingertips and rolls down my tongue. Then I swallow it whole without a second thought. My eyes dart back and forth as I look down at my empty palms. The dungeon falls deathly silent as I try to sense any changes taking place. I can hear myself swallow extra saliva to help the smooth crystal go down easier. Nothing happens. I hear Ember's voice echo in my mind as he comes within sight. I'm here. What is it that you'd like me to observe? Just a moment. I can feel something tightening up in my chest. It's an odd warm sensation. Pins and needles start to prickle in my arms and legs, accompanied by a sudden head rush that feels both cool and hot at the same time. My eyes roll back into my head and my body goes almost comely limp. I let out a distorted yell of pleasure mixed with pain as I struggle to stay conscious and stay on my feet. Activating my all-seeing eye, the sensations taking over my body begin to make a lot more sense. The tiny stone I ingested moments ago is beginning to dissolve. It seems my theory wasn't too far off. A miniature reverse black hole is forming in the center of my chest. As it grows, dense waves of mana are seeping out faster and faster. My body is attempting to absorb it even without my plundering ability. It's mana in its rawest form, similar to the liquid in an MP potion, just hundreds of times stronger. I clench my jaw and take out both my blades, responding to my newest revelations while fighting the feeling of pure bliss taking over my mind. The tingling sensation in my limbs is growing worse and the sharp pressure in my chest is becoming harder to stand. My vision is blurry, but I've been in worse situations before. I can handle this. Letting out another yell, this one more full of agony than pleasure. I begin transferring the excess mana surging through my veins into my blades. They glow red and white to surpassingly charge 15,000 MP in less than 10 seconds. These levels of mana and charging speed are close to my peak within the Titan's domain. I haven't gotten near this in the outside world since. With a powerful step forward, I release 2 crescents of energy, high into the sky. They rip through the air and fly deep into the dungeon. Before I can even admire my increase in speed and mana capacity, I've already instinctively begun charging another attack. It feels invisible knives are stabbing into my arms and legs now, along with the sensation of a heavy weight resting on my chest. My skin is lightly vibrating and my ability to channel mana is losing its precision every second that goes by. Way too much mana is entering my body, and nowhere near enough is leaving it. I charge up another near full force attack without having to plunder a single point of MP. My vision begins to blur more and more as I release the second wave of wind and fire into the air. I burst into a ball of fire, letting out a murderous yell while charging up my third attack. The skin on my arms, legs, and even face feels like they're getting torn apart at a microscopic level. White hot streams of mana enter my body through the slowly growing black abyss in my chest. Another dual shot of dense mana leaves my blades after 10 seconds of charging. My eyes lose their sight as my body threatens to tear itself in half. I burst into an even bigger ball of fire and attempt to charge up my blades for a 4th time. Unfortunately, I black out completely before releasing another drop of mana. All of my joints freeze up and my muscles contract uncontrollably. The hot sensation of energy rushing through my body and mind takes over as my consciousness escapes from reality. I fall to the dungeon floor with a thud as the uncontrollable amount of mana continues to expand. Everything after that is up to chance. Luckily, there's a mana-plundering dragon on standby. After a few minutes pass, I slowly open my eyes, accompanied by a long groan. The sensation of sore muscles and frail bones leaves me regretting my decision to try out this flashy strengthening fragment. As I observe Ember's red veil of mana-absorbing light receding from my body, a few words escape my lips. Thanks. I had a feeling it might end up like this. Coughing, I turn to my side and use both fists to push myself back up to my feet. I guess those fragments really are no joke. I use self-regeneration to repair my damaged skin and do the best I can to elevate the soreness, but it won't completely go away. Ember responds. Of course, Your mana control is nowhere near fine-tuned enough to safely use that much MP in such a short amount of time. I recommend not doing that again, Master. I let out a chuckle and scratched the back of my head. It's still just Jay. I agree. It's not a good idea to try that again anytime soon. So, would you like me to pause farming the Titans? I grin. No, continue. I'm sure I'll have a use for them in the future. Understood. See you soon. The dragon flies off and I pick up my 2 fallen blades, placing them into my item storage. I use Dungeon Walker to transport myself within a kilometer of my team and begin walking back to the meeting point. My body and mind feel pretty drained, even though I plundered my MP back up to full. It's an odd empty feeling. I felt a similar way after leaving the Titan's domain, but this feels worse. It hasn't been long at all, but I'm itching to feel power like that again. Pushing these thoughts to the back of my mind as best I can, I continue walking forward over the rising and falling hills before me. Hey, look who made it. Trip greets me, and I see the other 3 waiting patiently nearby. We exchange idle chatter for a little while, then set out to hunt again. Everyone is pretty tired this second round, including me after my MP overdose. We take it pretty slow this time around, only defeating 90 or so mutants altogether in the full 3-hour session. I decide to plant another strengthening fragment into a mutant near the end of our session. Nearing the 3-hour mark, I round everyone up to make sure they witness what happens next as Abby waits for the loot from her last kill. A small black crystal falls to the ground and the green-haired girl picks it up with a grin across her face. It was a long day, guy, but it looks like everything paid off in the end. Look, we got another one. I smirk as the rest of the team crowd around her to goggle at the little black gem. Soon after, we make our way back to Trip and out of the labyrinth. He reacts a bit off at the mention of the fragment, but the response is much less extreme than last time. The next few days of training go by in the blink of an eye. Over the next 5 hunting sessions, I strategically plant strengthening fragments into mutant corpses every 100 to 200 kills just to make it seem realistic. Even after the one I consumed, there are still have 2 spare stones left over in my storage. I have a feeling Ari knows something is up, but he isn't the type to pry. Plus, it seems he's a bit shaken by our Titan run-in earlier this week. Ever since then, he's itching to get stronger. He hunts solo in the C-class dungeons after every one of our team training sessions. I am itching to get stronger too, but for a much different reason. Every day that goes by, my urges for a good supply of high-purity mana and a good fight become stronger and stronger. Every night, I've been leaving the Vanguard Heights to go dungeon diving for a few hours too. Instead of using the C-class gate, I start entering through the D-class platform and teleporting myself back to the Great Plains. My contract states that I'm allowed to farm as many D-class resources for myself as I'd like, but C-class dungeon loot is the property of the association. They haven't strictly enforced this rule at all yet, but it's better if I don't take any chances. It will look much better on my record if it looks like I've been solo farming D-class dungeons. In reality, I farm mana crystals for hours every night and continue collecting the strengthening fragments that Ember accumulates. Level up. Level up. I've grown 2 more levels, bringing me to 408. This is thanks to the 47 void creepers my partner has managed to defeat. That also means I've received 47 more fragments, bringing my total stash to 49. Hesitantly, I've been keeping them in my item storage, trying my best not to think about my incident with one of them just a few days ago. Over 150k MP worth of crystals has been farmed, but I use most of it up on a few double blade attacks to get a rush at the end of each farming session. It may sound like a waste, but it's keeping my mana control sharp and my progression steady. I haven't been able to get anywhere near the speed and output that I reached while high on that fragment, and my proficiency has dropped a little since I left the Titan's domain as well. I can manage a 10k MP attacks, charged in just under 20 seconds. I'm able to release one of these a day, while still profiting some MP. It's nothing to laugh at, and it satisfies my urges for the time being. I'll need a change of pace soon. I need to get stronger. Today is day 7 of training at the association. We just finished up our hunt and will handing in our last strengthening fragment to finally receive our reward. Once we get our next week of tasks, I'll go and visit Ember. I think it's about time he leaves that dungeon with me. I wonder what the director has in store for us next. The fact that we completed a near-impossible task with ease keeps nagging at the back of my mind. I wonder if he'll catch on to the fact that something out of the ordinary is going on here. Chapter 146. We walk into the association's HQ after a long week of hunting. Maria happily carries our last strengthening fragments tight in her palm. After Ari scans his ID on the door at the back of the lobby, all four of us make our way to the mini-market run by the association. Our guide trip left us by ourselves about 2 days ago. Apparently, breaking us in was a bit easier than predicted. Bringing the blonde-haired association lapdog around with us on our daily hunting was just keeping him from doing other tasks. I'm glad he's not on our expeditions anymore. It makes teleporting into the mutant range much easier. Less walking and more training for all of us. Everyone on the squad has grown past level 365. We're considered a pretty tough C-class squad, at least for the new recruits. As we walk closer to our drop-off point, I see the white-haired merchant lady waving to us with a smile. Sophie was pretty outgoing to begin with, but she's gotten even friendly with the four of us as the week progresses. I hear her high-pitched voice ring out as we approach. Look who's back! Does this mean what I think it does? The last one. Her eyes open wide as she bites her bottom lip in anticipation. Maria smiles and runs over in a half-skipping manner. It sure does, we got all 10. The cheerful blonde and the excited merchant laugh together about something I decide to purposefully block out from my hearing. I take the glimmering silver tablet out of my item storage to watch the number on it shift in front of my eyes. J. Soju. Available credits. 0. C-Class. Team Weekly Quota. Strengthening Fragments. 9 out of 10. Reward. 5 credits. Individual Weekly Quota. None. 0/0. Reward. 0 credits. Turns into J. Soju. Available credits. 5. C-Class. Team Weekly Quota. Pending Task. 0/0. Reward. See Regional Director for instructions. Individual Weekly Quota. Pending Task. 0/0. Reward. See Regional Director for instructions. I let out a long sigh. Well, this can't be good. I shift my gaze up from the tablet to see my other 3 team members staring at their shimmering silver plates with puzzled looks on their faces as well. At least we all got the same message, that's a good sign. Maria flips her quota tablet around to show Sophie. Hey, what's all this about? Why do we have to go see the director? The short white-haired woman scrunches her eyebrows and mutters something under her breath in a low tone. I had a feeling something like this would happen. I jump in after hearing this statement. Hey, what do you mean by that? What did we do wrong? I know exactly what we did wrong, but I won't be the one to admit it. The association gave us this quest. How could they possibly punish us if we actually carried it out? Sophie shrugs. Hey, I don't know what you did wrong. It's just pretty uncommon for a group of new recruits to fulfill their first quest. Well, it's actually near impossible. She gulps, then continues. The advancement teams that create quest quotas directly under the director often give new recruits a hard time their first couple weeks. It's pretty normal for not even a single quota to be met. Yet somehow you 4 have completed yours with ease. She shivers slightly. One of the hardest ones, too. The 4 of us stand in silence for a moment thinking over the words Sophie just uttered. Aside from my hypothesis that mutants have a 0% drop rate, there could be some truth to her statement even if these monsters' rate was closer to 1%. Without my teleportation skill and quick farming strategies, there's no way we could have killed enough mutants to even come close to meeting our quota. This is enough to convince my other team members. Abby crosses her arms and stares at the merchant with a smug look on her face. Well, we're just a whole lot faster than all those other teams. Maria jumps in. Yeah, no way they could keep up with us. The director probably wants to give us an extra reward or something. Ari grins and nods. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm sure this will be an interesting meeting. I swallow hard before adding to the discussion. I agree. The topic of conversation changes between my teammates and the white-haired merchant. I zone out staring down at my quota tablet. On the bright side, we did complete our first mission together. Each of us has earned 5 credits, whatever that means. I'm gonna have to check out a few of these shops. Credits are worth 1 gold if exchanged, or double if used to purchase any items here. It wouldn't hurt to take a look around the place. I'm sure there's some pretty decent gear. An upgrade or 2 never hurt anybody. On the off chance nothing strikes my fancy, I can just exchange my credits for gold. I twist my head around, then look back at my teammates. Hey, I'll be back in a minute. I want to check out the shops. Ari smirks. Sure. Meet us back here when you're done. We'll be heading up to the top floor right after. Luckily, the director isn't away on business. We can talk to him right now. I gulp, then turn with a wave. Sounds good. I won't be long. Ari turns back to the merchant's stand with Maria and Abby. I'm not sure what they're looking at over on the short woman's counter, but it seems to be something that's keeping them entertained. I shrug and begin walking leisurely through the neon flashing signs. The primarily pink and blue lights reflect off the glossy black floor. It makes focusing on one shop pretty hard. Maybe this is some form of advanced marketing tactic? Or maybe I just have a hard time focusing and think everything around me is designed to mess with my mind, when in fact I'm the one doing all the mental manipulation myself. Either way, there's some pretty unique-looking gear in this market. I used appraisal on a few interesting-looking pieces. There are long silver swords, heavy metal armor and shield sets, huge axes, shiny black daggers, and even a few high-percentage stat-boosting accessories. Enchanted silver long sword plus 400 strength. Shield of Solitude plus 600 defense. Armor set of Solitude plus 800 defense. High Ogre's Axe set plus 600 strength. Enchanted Dagger set plus 400 speed plus 400 agility plus 200 strength. Ring of Protection plus 35% defense. Enchanted Silver Ring plus 40% mental strength. Amulet of Quickness plus 45% speed. Yeti's Charm plus 50% defense plus 50% ice magic resistance. All the shopkeepers seem nice, and their items are definitely high grade, but nothing here gets anywhere close to my blades or some of my own stat-boosting items. I decide haggling isn't even worth my time. I remember the director mentioning the association regulating the buying, selling, and use of element stones. A wielder has to have the stone bonded with their weapon. So, they wouldn't just have them out on display here. If this is all the gear they have on display, then I'm not in the market for anything new. I begin to walk back to my group, but a bundle of green and pink potions catches my attention. 20x C-Class HP potion, plus 2,500 HP. 20x C-Class MP potion, plus 2,500 MP. I raise an eyebrow while walking over to a gray-haired older-looking man sitting behind a small counter with potions from E to C-Class lined up very neatly. Good evening. Are you in the market for any potions today? I nod while examining them closely. This is the first time I've seen a C-Class potion. They're much more compact than the E or D-Class bottles I've purchased before. There's no need for me to buy MP potions. Plundering mana from crystals is much more efficient. During the exams, every time I wanted to get back up to full health, I had to drink 2 potions. Having some higher-grade HP items may be very beneficial. Being able to heal 2,500 HP in a single compact potion will allow me to act quicker in the heat of a battle. How much for the C-Class HP potions? All 20 of them. The man begins tapping a small tablet under his counter, then turns it toward me. It reads out, 0.6C in black text. That will be 0.6 credits. Just scan your tablet here and the transfer will happen in an instant. I nod slowly, then reach for my small silver square. Thrown off by this new technology, I don't even try to throw him a counteroffer. I'm sure I could have gotten them for under 0.5 credits if I tried. Sure. Here you go, Dash. The 2 tablets flash with a dim white light. Then the merchant smiles and hands me a bag full of potions. Appreciate your business today. See you again soon. He waves me off before I even think of a reply. I just mutter out a quick thank you, while continuing my walk back to my team. I place both the tablet with 4.4 credits left on it, and the 20 new HP potions into my item storage. Ari, Maria, and Abby all stand by the merchant's counter patiently waiting for my return. Ari is the first to greet me, as the others begin walking back toward the lobby. Let's go, Sophie just made special arrangements for us. Our meeting with the director is about to begin. Chapter 147. The 4 of us walk out of the association market and into the narrow hallway before making it to the elevator in the lobby. With a press of a button, the sliding doors close and we're gliding upward to see the director. This is a spur-of-the-moment meeting, but I can't say I wasn't expecting something like this to happen. I'm certain that the only way to farm strengthening fragments is to defeat Titans. The older members in the association must be pulling some kind of newbie C-class hazing tradition. The only other option frightens me a bit to think about. Maybe the director himself set us up to fail. He is the most powerful person in the entire Vice region. I'd have to be pretty stupid to think I could pull a fast one on him. I gulp while activating my conceal skill and watching the numbers on the elevator display screen increase quickly. Ding! We make it to the top floor, and the penthouse office suite comes into view as the doors slide open. Brutus, the tall old man, sits at his desk sifting through a pile of neatly stacked papers. His deep voice echoes as we step forward into his open room overlooking the entire city. Welcome back. This is the first time I'm seeing you four all together. Please, sit down. Make yourselves comfortable. We approach. Maria is grinning while hopping light on her feet. Abby is keeping a straight back and a professional smile, and Ari walks over with an emotionless gaze. I manage a combination of all three. With quick steps, I smirk but keep my emotions in check. I'm both excited to see what new tasks we have next week, but also anxious to hear what the old man has to say about us completing this impossible quota. There are 4 comfortable-looking chairs in front of his desk in a perfect half-circle. They match the white theme of the room with black accents on their arms and undersides to go along with the darker shade of his desk. We sit down and the director begins. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of you for making it this far. You've completed your first week as C-Class hunters contracted with the association. I'd like to celebrate. It's not every day a team of newcomers passes my entrance test. He grins, then looks over to one of the empty white walls while pressing a small button underneath his desk. To my surprise, a large section of the wall slides forward in the shape of a door. The tall, pale-skinned, blonde-haired assistant comes out from a secret room. She's holding a circular metal tray. I take a peek in before the wall slides closed. It looks pretty similar to this study. White walls, a wide-open glass window view of the city, a large desk sitting in the center, and even a long couch near the corner with all kinds of artwork hanging on the walls over it. It looks like she's added a little flair to her office. The director's voice rings through the room again. Some of you haven't met Samantha yet. This is my lovely assistant. Both of them lock eyes and smile as she brings over the mysterious platter. The woman places it on the desk before us, and my anticipation crumbles. I realize it's just 6 tall glasses with fizzling sour liquid. Letting go and exhale, I mutter under my breath. More alcohol. I didn't realize how much people really drank until I couldn't drink myself. It seems like everyone just finds any excuse to get drunk. The old man smiles and Samantha passes out glasses. He brings his forward and we all do the same. To growth, adaptability, creativity, and collaboration. I have full confidence that all of your partnerships with the association will pave the way for remarkable achievements in the future to come. Cheers. Clink. Our glasses come together. Then I bring the drink to my lips. My mana stores begin to slowly drop as I finish the drink due to my poison resistance burning away the alcohol before I can feel a drop. It's not much, just a little over 100 MP. But it's still annoying. The director speaks up again. Now, let's get down to business. There are a few things I'd like to talk to all of you about privately. It'd be best to split up into one-on-one meetings. You'll be receiving 2 tasks this week. One that you will complete as a team, and another that is specialized for each of your training. I raise an eyebrow and glance at the others as the old gray-haired man continues. I'll start with Abby, then Maria, followed by Ari, and finally Jay. If the 3 of you could wait in the other room while I conduct a private meeting with each one of you, that would be wonderful. Please, follow Samantha. She will keep you company. Ari, Maria, and I stand up as the rectangular-shaped door comes sliding out of the wall seamlessly. We wave Abby goodbye and follow the pale-skinned assistant into her study. I hear the director's words trail off in the distance as the sliding door shuts. Well, Abby, how's the city life treating you? Big move from where you were located with the association prior. How's the dash? Click. The white door shuts. We all enter the secret side study and walk over to the long couch in the corner. The tall woman speaks up. Please make yourselves comfortable. The director likes to ramble. This may take a while. She grins. Maria chuckles and Ari jumps onto the couch in a dolphin dive manner to lightly shake the brightly colored paintings that contrast the white walls above. The professional mood of the evening has definitely shifted. The 3 of them are a bit tipsy. That usually doesn't fail to lighten the atmosphere. After about 10 minutes of cheerful conversation and watching the sunset from the top floor, the wall slides open and Maria steps out for her meeting as Abby comes in. The green-haired girl is grinning ear to ear holding a small white diamond-shaped crystal. It glistens with rainbow accents and isn't more than 2 centimeters long. She places it into her item box as she comes to sit down on the couch next to Ari. Another 10 minutes go by and Maria comes back with the same little white stone in her hands. Ari gets up to leave, and Maria takes his place on the couch. Finally, Ari returns. He doesn't come back holding anything in particular, but a wide smirk is plastered across his face. It's my turn. I walk through the open wall and make my way over to the large desk in the middle of the empty room and sit down on the chair that one of my previous teammates pulled forward to sit in front of the other 3. The old man smiles while placing both of his hands in the center of his wide-open desk. Good to see you again, Jay. I sit down and respond. Good to see you again too, Director. He leans forward. Let's address the elephant in the room. It seems you have been keeping an important detail from your teammates. Am I correct? The old gray-haired man lifts a small black crystal from under his desk. I designed the first week of tests for new recruits to be nearly impossible, yet the 4 of you cleared it with ease. All of your teammates seem to be in the dark on the true nature of these fragments. I gulp as he continues. Based on your expression, I'm going to guess you're not so clueless when it comes to these item drops. There's no harm in telling me. It's not like you did anything wrong. I'm just a curious old man. The director leisurely spins the small obsidian-colored stone on his desk. Mesmerized by its rotations, I become lost in my own thoughts, observing it for a few seconds. I reply in a low, unwavering tone. I'm unsure what you're talking about, Dash. Don't give me that. He slams his hand down on the table to stop the spinning gem. It breaks me from my concentration. I shake my head, blink a few times, then sit up straight as the old man brings the shiny crystal closer to my face from across the desk. You and I both know these fragments only drop from Titans. I don't care how you did it, but I know you defeated at least 10 of those anomalies. Your teammates were clueless to the fact, and Ari was scared straight at the mention of a Titan. So, my guess is you went in alone. Feeling a lump in my throat, I swallow nervously and nod as he continues speaking. Good. As I said, there's no need to be on edge today. You were just following orders. How could I punish you for doing exactly what I asked? He pauses and the 2 of us are left in a room full of silence for a moment. I take a deep breath before replying with a blank, yet serious expression across my face. You're right. I farmed the Titans to fill this week's quota. Director, I am grateful for your kindness, but I don't appreciate being lied to on my very first day of work in the association. He nods slowly and replies, I like to think of it as an entrance test, not a lie. Please hand me your assignment tablet. I'd like to update the data. The tasks will be much more straightforward this week. I hope that this is more to your liking. I hand him my shimmering silver tablet and he begins to tinker with it. I reply as my quotas are being updated. What do you mean by an entrance test? Entrance to what? He grins. Now you're asking the right questions. Let me explain. Alright, your extraction team passed my first test. I'd like to send all of you off on a very important mission next week, to the Dark Continent. You'll need special training to prepare yourselves. The old man hands me back my tablet and I stare down at the updated tasks. J. Soju. Available credits. 4.4. C-Class. Team Weekly Quota. Mana Crystals. 0/2000000 MU. Reward. 5 credits. Individual Weekly Quota. Horn of the Behemoth. 0 out of 1. Reward. 5 credits. Your team's weekly task has been set to a reasonable mana crystal farming goal, and I've assigned each of you a special individual task. Yours is to obtain the Horn of the Behemoth. Defeating this monster will be an important step in furthering your training to become an elite of the association. My eyes dart across the silver tablet, taking in all this new information. Looking up, I start to reply, but the director continues. The Behemoth is found on the 20th floor of the Vice City Labyrinth. I hope you're ready for a new challenge. Chapter 148. A grin starts to creep across my face as the words Vice City Labyrinth come out of the director's mouth. Every time this labyrinth is brought up, everyone always makes it sound so exclusive and impossible to enter. All I need to do is get in one time, then I'll have unlimited access, forever. Finally, there's a way in. I reply, failing to hide the goofy grin on my face. Oh yeah? The labyrinth? Brutus nods, then sits back in his chair eyeing me up and down curiously. This week, there has been a rise in minor dungeon breaks near our county's northern border. They've begun to drift downward nearing the Vice region. This exact same pattern occurs every single surge. Unfortunately, there has been less and less time between each surge. As I said earlier, we'll be sending a few teams out to the Dark Continent within 10 days to alleviate the excess mana buildup. I'd like for the 4 of you to be part of this expedition. Silence fills the room once again as I think over all of this proposal the director has thrown at me, then reply with another question. So, let me get all of this straight. You gave all the new recruits near impossible tasks just to see who would be the best fit to join the other elite squads on a Dark Continent raid mission. He nods, confirming the answer as I continue. We passed your test. So this week, the 4 of us have been assigned to special individual training to prepare us for this raid? He nods again. I smirk. Maybe you're not so bad, Mr. Director. Is there anything I need to know about this behemoth before taking it out? I pause, then jump back in for one last question. Oh, also, where is the Vice City Labyrinth? The old man lets out a laugh. I hope I continue to grow on you. Your clearance for the labyrinth has been updated. Ask any of the guards at the dungeon hub to scan your ID and they will show you the way in. The only reason I'm letting a new C-Class in unsupervised is because of your ability to handle Titans. The behemoth may be at a similar or even greater difficulty level, so you must be entirely prepared before facing it. I nod firmly as the director continues. The behemoth is the 20th floor boss that separates regular hunters from the elite. Less than 5% of hunters ever make it to a C-Class rank. Of that 5%, only 1% ever move on to the next stage. How many B-Class or higher-rated hunters have you seen? Not including me or Rodrigo. I think to myself for a moment, then reply, none. I haven't thought about it much until now. Everyone does seem to slow down after level 250 or so. Is it really that difficult to level up past C-Class? The old man nods slowly and clicks a small button on the side of his desk. Once you begin to climb the labyrinth, I believe you'll understand. The wall slides open, and my teammates walk out followed by Samantha. The director stands up and puts out his hand. I put out mine to shake it. Ding! The elevator door opens and our meeting abruptly comes to an end as a few men in suits come walking in. Brutus gives me a smile as I turn to go. I'm a busy man. It's unfortunate we couldn't talk longer today. I'll see you soon, Jay. Good luck on your mission this week. With a smile in return, I make my way to the elevator following the archer, ice wielder, and green-haired healer. The sliding door shuts and we glide down to the lobby on the bottom floor. Leaving the association HQ, Maria shows us all her quota card. Look at this. My solo mission is to farm Yetis. It's one of the low-grade C-class dungeons. Apparently, they're ice magic resistant, so I'll have to figure out some new combats methods. I was assigned a C-class elite training partner. She's an ice magic user too. What kind of assignments did you guys get? Abby interjects. I'm in a low-grade C-class dungeon too. The director put me on a team with a C-class elite swordsman and healer to train in the mutant high ogre dungeon. They're earth magic resistant, so I'll have to improve my combat. Plus, I'll learn how to properly utilize my restoration magic. Ari nods slowly, crossing his arms. I'm back in the Great Plains this week. A B-class archer is coming into town to teach me how to improve my shots. My only task this week is to defeat a titan. He grins and turns to me, continuing to speak. Apparently, there's a trick to taking them out. I just need more training. My eyes open wide as I watch the tan-skinned bow wielder fill up with excitement. I reply with a smirk. You'll have to fill me in once you figure it out. I'll be in the Vice City Labyrinth this week. My mission is to clear floor 20. The four of us make our way back to the Vanguard Heights. We've all received our assignments and agreed to hand in 50 kmu worth of mana crystals each while we're off on our individual missions. This will be enough to satisfy the 200 kmu quota. The three of them have assigned training partners, I do not. Maybe it'd be nice to learn a thing or two from an elite hunter. But at the same time, I'm more excited that I get to dive into the labyrinth alone. We make it back to our residence and take the elevator up to floor 21 without a second of hesitation. We made it through our first week of work and all got paid. It's time to celebrate. The four of us dine with good food and strong drinks for a few hours. We check out the casino, blow through a few silver each, take a leisurely stroll through the shopping center, then go back in for more food and drinks. This cycle continues. As the night continues, the smiles on my teammates' faces grow, but I'm getting progressively more bored. Every sip I take gets nullified and the average IQ of my peers drops as the hours go on. I have a good time, but before tomorrow, I have some business I need to take care of with a certain dragon waiting for me at the back of a dungeon. The sun completely sets and we all go back to our apartments. Well, everyone but me. I take the elevator down and head off to the dungeon hub, jump into a random D-class portal, then teleport deep into the Great Plains. I activate my telepathy link as I near the dragon in the sky. Ember, you'll be leaving this dungeon today. Ready for some action? With a powerful flap of the wings, my newest hunting partner lands on the ground next to me with a light thud. Most definitely. Shall I collapse this dungeon? I let out a much-needed laugh after a long day, but reply quickly as Ember begins to glow light red. Hey, no collapsing of any dungeons right now. The red glow of his mystic-grade plunderer skill dies down. Understood. I let out a light sigh of relief, then grin. Tomorrow, I'll be heading into a labyrinth. You'll be coming with me. We have some training to do. Ember perks up, then gives me a toothy grin. Over the last week, I've been thinking of a few ways to transport the 7-meter-long dragon. Letting him roam free in unoccupied dungeons is an option, but keeping him by my side would be much more beneficial to both of us. I could use Dungeon Walker to bring him to the labyrinth the moment I step foot in it, but there's been another potential option eating away at the back of my mind. Spatial magic. I activate my item storage ability, stretching out the white portal as far out as it can go. Within a matter of seconds, I stretch the entrance to the pocket dimension to around 4 m in diameter. The perfect size to fit the mid-sized dragon. I'd like to test something out. This is my very own pocket dimension. I believe it functions similarly to a Titan's domain. Please step inside. Let me know what you see in there. Without hesitation, the majestic creature moves forward, disappearing into the swirling white mass. I close my storage and wait in silence. Letting the artificial dungeon sun beat down on the back of my neck, I wait around for 10 minutes or so. Next, I open my item storage portal. The white mass of energy expands up to about 4M again, and Ember falls out, gracefully landing on his feet. I could sense his presence in my storage, but there were no movements or signs of life until the moment he popped out in front of me. The dragon speaks through our link. Shall we begin? I smile. We're already done. It seems like my item storage really does bend reality similarly to my past experiences with a pocket dimension, just in the opposite way. Whatever I put in isn't affected by the time moving forward in the outside world. We stand in silence for a few seconds yet again. The Ember responds. Well, that's convenient. I let out a chuckle. Yeah, I guess it is. Opening up my item storage again, Ember steps in and we leave the Great Plains moments later. With a smirk plastered across my face and the cool night air blowing through my hair, I walk back to the Vanguard Heights to get a good night of sleep. My first day diving into the Vice City Labyrinth will begin bright and early tomorrow morning. Chapter 149. After a long night of rest, I wake up ready to begin a new week of training. Today, I'll be entering the Vice City Labyrinth. I hop out of bed to take in the wide-open view of the city below me. I'm 42 stories up. No matter the weather, the view is always incredible. It's early in the morning, so the sun rises up over the horizon, casting orange light through the low clouds. Taking the elevator downstairs and walking through the empty lobby, I begin my walk to the dungeon hub before the morning crowd of hunters gets a chance to crowd the square. I walk over to the C-Class gate, show the blonde-haired guard my ID, then ask him for directions. Hey, how do I get to the Vice City Labyrinth? I just got clearance today. He looks at me with a smug, yet impressed nod, then points behind him to the moving staircase about 15 m away. It's guarded by 2 more men from the association. I've seen parties go back there before, but they always wore association uniforms and seemed to be in a whole different league than me. It seems it's my turn to ride that escalator upwards. Thanks. Appreciate it. I give the guard a firm nod and head over with my ID in hand. As I approach, I get a better look at the 2 men on duty. They're wearing full armor and have shields ready by their sides. Both of them seem to be tanks. One is middle-aged with tan skin, a black beard, and a bald head, while the other is younger with fair skin and a full head of glossy black hair. I use inspect on both of them. LV 289, LV 314. The older guard, level 314, looks me up and down as I approach. Hey kid, I think you're headed the wrong way. The dungeons are behind you. I flip my hunter's license toward him to show my name and rank. With an eye roll and a look of disgust on the older guard's face, he takes my ID and places it on the small metal scanner. A new C-Class recruit going solo in the labyrinth? Yeah, right, they're Dash. He's cut off by the small green glowing light shown by the sensor. The bearded guard looks at his younger counterpart with his mouth wide open. Both of them shrug. Then he hands my ID back to me.
I jumped to conclusions.
You must be one of the newer recruits. I wasn't aware there were any elites in the batch of hunters that just came in. I take my card and give him a professional smile and nod as I get onto the moving stairs upwards. Thanks, have a good day. This is a pretty odd feeling, going up instead of down. I've gotten pretty used to going underground in order to dungeon dive. I wonder what's up here? Also, did he just call me an elite? As I slowly move up the mana-powered stairway, I see another set of guards eyeing me up and down near the top. It's another pair of tanks in full shining armor. The association really keeps this place guarded well. I use inspect as I get closer and closer. LV 348. LV 366. Both of these guards seem to be much older. If I look close enough, I definitely spot a few gray hairs. They must be hunters working for the association full-time, leveling up slowly and collecting their pay. It's an honest living. I'm just focused on another path. The level 366 wearing thin-framed glasses and a bright smile greets me. A newcomer? You must be from the class that came in last week. Am I right? I hand my ID over to his outreached hand. He takes it politely and scans it again as I reply. Yep, just joined the association. A pleasure to meet you. I'll be seeing you a lot in the future. As the green light on the scanner flashes again, he hands my card back to me. I walk past with a wave goodbye. In front of me, there's a narrow hallway that leads to a silver door no more than 10 m away. The walls are black, similar to the lining of the train station down below in the dungeon hub. The small black scanner on the front of the silver door catches my eye. I mumble under my breath as I approach. They sure don't mess around with security measures here. Placing my card against the scanner, it flashes green and the final door opens with a light click. I walk through and it closes behind me immediately. I'm left in a black box 10 m tall and wide, with a silver door to my back. The only other thing in this room is a large bright green swirling mass of energy. The Vice City Labyrinth Portal. I blink a few times with a sense of awe and confusion. The Labyrinth Portal was right here all along. Right above the dungeon hub, there are dozens and dozens of floors filled with monsters more powerful than anyone in this city could ever dream to handle. This is one of the oldest standing labyrinths in existence. It's just sitting here at the center of the city. For decades, no one has managed to make it to the top floor. After staring at the portal for a few seconds, I nod firmly and I step through, entering my new training grounds. I'm teleported into a goblin dungeon on the first floor. The tall grass sways in the light breeze and the artificial dungeon sun shines bright. Taking the first floor slow and steady, I enjoy my morning stroll, sending level 5 to 10 goblins flying with single kicks to the side as they mindlessly charge at me. By the time I get about 1 kilometer into the first dungeon, I activate my enemy detection skill to make sure no one else is around as I release Ember from my pocket dimension. The dragon rises from the ground after falling from the spatial magic portal, flexing his wings and emitting a soft red glow as he senses the shifts of mana density in the surrounding air. So this is the labyrinth. I grin, looking up at the monster. It is. Our goal this week is to defeat the boss on the 20th floor. Ember flaps his long, glossy, black-scaled wings, hovering 10 m or so up in the air before replying. His head is held high and the crimson glow around him stays activated. The structure we're in has many floors. The 20th is the least of our worries. With a confident and eager smile, I channel my wind magic, propelling myself upward with a few air steps. I gracefully ascend to meet the dragon in the sky. Landing on his sturdy back, I reply through our link. We'll face those enemies when we get there. Let's climb one floor at a time. Holding on tight with both my legs, Ember flies high up into the sky, and our adventure begins. As the wind whisks through my hair, a refreshing coolness fills my mind, invigorating my senses. It's a short ride, but a sweet one. We make it to the first floor boss in mere minutes. Dragon transportation is the way to travel. We'll make it through these floors in no time. I'll be able to use Dungeon Walker to any floor I fancy by the end of the day. The only caveat is I can't sense what's on the floors above me just yet. I make sure to put Ember safely in my pocket dimension and scout out the floor with enemy detection to make sure no other hunters are present before letting him roam free. We continue this process over and over. The first 5 floors are all familiar spawns like goblins, wolves, slimes, rats, and other E and low-grade D-class monsters. The next few are a breeze as well. The mobs get a bit tougher, like trolls, ogres, and hobgoblins, but we soar through each floor unscathed. On average, we're clearing entire levels in less than 30 minutes. It's not until 5 hours later that we run into an unexpected development on floor 10. As I defeat the level 244 Minotaur boss on floor 9, I open my spatial magic portal for Ember to hop in. He does so and I wait for the white transfer light to appear. It does, and I activate my enemy detection. As I find myself materializing on the 10th floor, I go on high alert, Over a dozen alarms go off in my mind's eye as I detect threats over level 300 scattered nearby. One is even well over 400. I clench my jaw and take out both of my blades while activating my stat-boosting skills, igniting my body into a ball of flames. Whatever base-level monsters have come to greet me on this 10th floor, they're much more skilled than I was expecting. As the white light fades away from my vision, I continue gritting my teeth in anticipation, determined to face whatever monsters lie ahead. I strain my senses, squinting to make out what exactly the danger that looms before me looks like. A surprised voice with a hint of amusement rings out in my ears. Hey, chill out, man. We're hunters. We're on the same team here. My vision clears, and I can't believe my eyes. A small stone pathway has formed beneath my feet, and I'm greeted by a smiling hunter with red hair and green eyes. He raises both his hands defensively, laughing, trying to calm me down. My eyes dart around, taking in the view and tracking all of the enemies I previously spotted on my radar. They're all hunters. I let out a whisper under my breath while deactivating my skills. What is this place? The soil is rocky in all directions with thin patches of grass. Small stone formations scatter across the landscape, and larger mountains jut up in the distance. The sky is blue with a few small clouds, and the air is cool and crisp. The red-haired man shows me a bright white smile and turns to point down the small pathway. To my surprise, there's a village center on the 10th floor of the Vice City Labyrinth. With half a dozen small shacks and merchant stands lining the little road beneath my feet, I watch hunters trade loot and food. I gaze off in the distance to see a large inn-like structure about 200 m away with smoke coming out of a tall chimney. I place my weapons into my item storage while staring at the view wide-eyed and speechless. The tall, fiery-haired man speaks up again. Welcome to the 10th floor Labyrinth checkpoint. Take advantage of the association-run vendors to buy and sell any loot you've acquired or need during your journey. Should you require rest or relaxation, the inn is available to you before continuing to any other floors. Come on. Let me give you a quick tour. Chapter 150. Gradually, my muscles loosen, all my skills deactivate, and I shift my focus to the peculiar surroundings. Meanwhile, the red-haired man maintains his pleasant smile, seemingly unaffected by my flashy arrival. My name is Rylan, by the way. If you're making an entrance like that, this must be your first time on the 10th floor.
I'm Jay.
It is my first time. After I reply, the ginger-haired man begins to walk down the light gray stone pathway toward the small cluster of shops and merchant stands. Curiously, I follow. He continues talking as we pass by the first vendor, an older gentleman offering to buy mana crystals from the floors below. Usually it takes hunters at least 24 hours to make it up to floor 10. It doesn't matter your level or abilities. The distance is just way too far. I nod while eyeing the inventory of the next merchant stand we walk by. There's food, water, potions, clothing, and even basic non-magical medicines. Rylan continues. Floor 10 is the checkpoint where most logical hunters stop before traveling up or down any further. It's the perfect place to rest. We pass a few more stands buying and selling various goods. Then my temporary dungeon guide grins while pointing to our left. There's 2 men and a woman training with swords, daggers, and shields in a field about 50 m off the path. Those are my teammates over there. We're headed to floor 16 to farm high ogres tomorrow morning. The 4 of us have been training pretty hard these last few months. We might even face the boss soon and take a crack at floor 17. I use inspect on the man in front of me. LV 329. Then turn to his teammates. LV 331. LV 327. LV 326. I reply, Hey, why exactly are you giving me a tour? Rylan laughs. I was a newbie once too. I'm just paying it forward. It's nice to have someone show you around the place. Isn't it? Old habit. I used to be a teacher. I smirk and roll my eyes, letting out a sarcastic response. You've got nothing better to do, huh? He throws his arm around my shoulder, ignoring my remark. Come on this way. As we approach the inn at the end of the long stone pathway, I quickly turn my head to appraise Rylan and his teammate to realize a few simple facts. First, they have pretty decent weapons and armor. Some 30 to 50% stat-boosting items along with 300+ stat-boosting gear aren't anything to laugh at. The unfortunate discovery lies in their set of skills. Among them, 2 possess the ability of body hardening, enhancing their physical defenses. The red-haired leader of the group has swordsmanship. Then finally, the short-haired woman in their party possesses dagger mastery. They're useful skills, but pretty basic. It makes a lot more sense now how training for months only allows them to jump 1 floor in the labyrinth. There is nothing special about their squad. I turn my head all the way around to get a full appraisal of nearly a dozen hunters in the shopping area. A frown begins to form across my face as I realize everyone here is just mindlessly farming for the association. Taking into account their physical appearances, my guess is I'm the youngest one on this floor by at least a decade. Sometimes I forget my squad is the cream of the crop. I should keep my head down and stay as low-key as I can. Being the young show-off is never a good first impression. I gulp, swinging my head back around to examine the 2-story tall inn we're slowly approaching. It's made of the same gray-colored brick the path beneath my feet is constructed of. The building before us spans a considerable width, measuring 30 meters from left to right. Its height reaches about 10 meters, while its length stretches back around 20 meters. There's about a dozen small windows on the front side, and its sole chimney still puffs out smoke. Rylan creaks open the poorly crafted wooden door at the entrance and we walk into the small tavern-like lobby. There's a staircase at the back corner of the room next to a long desk being manned by a shorter black-haired gentleman in a suit and silver glasses. There are drinks lined up behind him but also papers and room keys. It looks like a half-bar, half-hotel lobby receptionist desk. The 10 meters of room in front of him are filled with circular tables and chairs. Another dozen or so hunters fill the inn holding drinks, eating food, and sifting through their loot. Darting my eyes back and forth, I scan most of them as we make our way to the long wooden check-in desk at the back. They're all level 270 to 330 middle-aged hunters, carrying average gear and wielding common skills. Our footsteps creak the tavern floor as we make our way through the small crowd. A couple of heads turn to nod or smile at the redhead leading the way. He must be a regular around here. We make it to the front desk and the short man slightly bows his head before looking up. Good to see you again, Rylan. Who's your guest? Shall I make arrangements for your party to book another room? He shakes his head and motions for me to step forward. Mr. Conway, please meet Jay. Jay? Meet the 10th floor innkeeper, Mr. Conway. I step forward with a hand outstretched to meet his for a shake before replying. Nice to meet you. I guess I'd like to book a room. The short man bows awkwardly again, then sifts through the underside of his counter to pull out a key labeled R202 in small black print. Let me see your hunter's license. I'll put it on your account. I raise an eyebrow while reaching for my ID, but decide not to question it. I hand the man my card and he inputs a few details onto a small silver tablet before handing it back and sliding me the key. There you go, Jay. You're all set. Looks like this really is your first day in the labyrinth. It says here you got your initial clearance less than 24 hours ago. You must have been really eager to make it up this far in such a short amount of time. I gulp, then reply with a smile and a nod. I guess that's true. I've been looking forward to hunting in here ever since I joined the association. The older man starts to speak, but his words are cut off by a sudden rhythmic stomping sound that catches our attention. We instinctively turn our heads in unison as the echoing footsteps grow louder, coming down the stairway next to us. I turn my head back to meet Rylan's gaze. He just shrugs, crossing his arms and watching the stairs in eager amusement. The footsteps grow louder until I see a pair of jet-black boots hitting the hardwood stairs with unnecessary dramatic effect. The figure's black jeans appear next as he slowly makes his way down the wooden steps. Golden rings with blue and black gems show on his fingers next, revealing the pale white skin of the mystery man before us. With a final step and a long exhale, a young man appears at the bottom of the stairs. His eyes are dark and sharp, while his hair is colored dark blue to match the theme of his rings. He's my height, 180 centimeters, possibly even a little taller, and seems to be under 25 years old. This is the first hunter I've seen all day near my age range. The only problem is his attitude. With a scowl on his face, the young blue-haired man shifts his eyes around the room. Many of the men and women sitting around the tables in the tavern avert their gaze, talk in a lower tone, and begin to slow their movements as he walks by. Rylan still stands tall, while Mr. Conway smirks and shifts back, not to get involved. Curiosity piqued, I activate my inspect and appraisal skills to scan the young man who has caused such a stir in the room. LV 461. Active items. Ring of Protection plus 50% defense. Enchanted Ring of Quickness plus 65% speed. Enchanted Ring of Agility plus 65% agility. Enchanted Platinum Ring plus 70% strength. Enchanted Platinum Necklace plus 70% mental strength. Enchanted Dark Elf Boots plus 70% speed. Amulet of the Hydra plus 75% mental strength plus 75% water summoning strength. Active skills. Combat magic. Advanced water summoning. Swordsmanship. Legendary grade. A grin of my own finally creeps across my face. This is the first unique hunter I've seen all day. He strides towards us, his gaze briefly meeting Rylan's before he rolls his eyes, directing his attention to the innkeeper. Hey Conway, get me a drink, then I'm going back to sleep. Wake me up if a kid named Jay comes in anytime soon. I'm supposed to meet one of the new association recruits and help him on his suicide mission to the 20th floor. The innkeeper lets out a sigh, then pours the rude hunter a glass of hard alcohol with a smile. I clench my jaw and stay quiet, trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. Why does this guy know my name? And why has he been here waiting for me? Mr. Conway hands over the freshly made drink and replies, "Good morning to you too, Fisher. There's actually a dash." The arrogant hunter snatches the drink from the innkeeper's hand, cutting him off mid-sentence to gulp down the full shot of golden brown liquid, then letting out a refreshing gasp. "Thanks, old man." He flips a silver coin in his direction while placing the empty glass back on the counter and starts walking away. Before stepping back up the wooden stairs, he turns to look at me. "What are you staring at? You new here or something?" "Yeah, I just got dash." He cuts me off while turning around and walking over with a sly grin. "The name's Fisher. It must have been your loud mouth that woke me up. What's your name anyways?" The blue-haired man raises an eyebrow with an angered expression as I respond. "I'm Jay." "Nice to meet you." Chapter 151. Fisher straightens his posture and casts an unfriendly gaze my way, scanning me from head to toe with a disapproving smirk. "You're Jay." "Ha! You're Jay?" Confused by his question, I respond with a one-word reply. "Yeah." The dark blue-haired hunter lifts his condescending gaze to meet my eyes, then pauses for a moment. He looks up at the ceiling, deep in thought, then replies, "You're pretty quick, aren't you? I was sent here by the director yesterday. At my full speed. You still managed to get here just a few hours after me." His distasteful glare turns into a somewhat curious grin. He points to the door, leading to the open dungeon. "Come on, let's go outside. I was told you have a pretty strong aptitude for fire. I'd like to see it for myself." He walks toward the door through the tables full of hunters motioning for me to follow. I turn to Rylan and the innkeeper. The redhead nods, eagerly pushing me to follow him. Mr. Conway speaks up as we begin to follow. He may seem tough on the outside, but Fisher is a kind kid. He just puts on that act ever since he became one of the youngest C-class elites in the Vice region. With a nod and a smile, I thank the short man and follow Fisher as he steps through the wooden door on the other side of the room. The air outside is still cool and crisp as both Rylan and I follow the elite around the backside of the inn. The view of the tall mountains is pretty beautiful from here. I'm always impressed by the artificial landscape created by dungeons. Fisher stops right in the middle of a wide-open field, waving at us to follow. Squinting as we walk further and further from the inn, I see the shadowy outline of a winged creature flying at us from a distance. The screech of wild griffin fills my ears, and the realization that we're under attack from a monster finally hits me. I pull out my sword and ignite it into flames, charging up less than 300 MP worth of mana-imbued fire magic. I let out a fast, concise shot of dark, dense flames. Seconds later, over 50 m away, the diving griffin loses its head and falls to the dungeon floor with a loud thud. I let out a sigh of relief, then hear a slow clapping noise. The blue-haired hunter grins while walking toward me. Not bad. I was expecting much worse. When I heard a new C-class recruit was coming to train in the labyrinth for the first time, I didn't expect to meet another young advanced magic user like myself. He reaches into a small item box on his waist to pull out a large sword. Its base looks black, but it glimmers dark blue in the sunlight. I use appraisal the second its unique hue hits my eyes. Tidebreaker. Enchanted Blade of the Hydra, Water Aspect. Plus 127% Strength. Plus 81% Mental Strength. A thin smile crosses my face as the flames flicker out on my sword. It seems like I found another element stone-imbued weapon user. This is a first. I assume you're a water magic user? Is that right? He nods slowly, pointing his sword at me. Brutus really chose your team to be the next set of elites. So, it's my job to prepare you. I raise my sword, pointing it right back at him. What do you mean by that? The next set of elites? What are you talking about? The director never told me anything about you. I thought I was diving in this labyrinth solo. Fisher smirks, letting out a sigh. You'll get used to the director in time. He's always a few steps ahead. You'll never be able to outthink that man. If he wants you to do something, you're already doing it. I gulp as the water wielder continues. Apparently, he gave 2 of your teammates upgrade crystals. That's why I'm certain your squad is his next choice for elites. I step forward. What's all this talk about elites? Explain. What's an elite? What's going on? Elites. That's the name the association chose to give to C-class hunters that actually have a chance of hitting B-class. It's like a hidden rank between C and B. I'm sure you spotted the difference between a hunter like me and the hunters in there. He points his long black and blue glistening sword to the backside of the inn. I remember the feeling I got while walking through the tables earlier. Yeah, you're right. What are upgrade crystals, and what are you even going to teach me? All I have to do to pass the director's test is defeat the 20th floor boss. He underestimates me. The blue-haired swordsman lets out a laugh. You really are a lost one, aren't you? It makes so much more sense why he let you think you're going into this place alone. You'd rather get yourself killed than admit there's an opponent you can't beat. Hey, don't talk like you know me. You have no idea how powerful I am. Plus. You still haven't answered all my questions. What's an upgrade crystal? He lets out another condescending sigh, then rolls his eyes. They're one of the association's most valuable resources. Brutus gave me one a few months back, along with a few of my squad members, allowing all of us to rank up to the elite level. It upgrades your skills. Any combat magic becomes an advanced form, and any normal skills become special grade or even legendary grade sometimes. I got lucky with both. I nod slowly, remembering the white crystals both Maria and Abby were carrying on their way back from their meetings yesterday. If my guess is correct, it must be the forced upgrade method I've heard rumors about. By the way Fisher is describing it, these upgrade crystals must automatically use all the proficiency points on a user's skills. He must have been over level 400, giving him the necessary 400 PP to upgrade both of his skills. He didn't get lucky. Someone timed his upgrade carefully. If all of this is true, the director really does have his eye on us. I guess taking advantage of this situation is the best thing to do right now. Even so, this guy is starting to piss me off. Alright, then why am I teamed up with you anyways? I can climb this labyrinth myself. I admit, you're stronger than the hunters inside, I can tell. But I hunt solo. I don't need your help. He grins, and his sword begins to glow with a light blue light. Oh yeah? Well, it's a direct order. I bring you to the 20th floor, watch you beat the boss, then bring you back alive. I haven't failed an assignment yet, but this one seems near impossible. We have a lot of work to do. I grit my teeth and ignite my own sword into a flickering ball of flames. We? Since when are we a team? I don't really care what your assignment is. I was told I could farm this labyrinth by myself. I don't want to be chaperoned by an overconfident blue-haired association lackey. Again, Fisher lets out a laugh. Fire users are always the hotheads. I'm gonna have to teach you a lesson, kid. You may be the newest star of the C-class exams, but there are many hunters much stronger than you out in the world. Don't start swinging your sword at fights you can't handle. I take out my second blade, lighting my dagger up with the white hue of wind magic. What makes you think I can't handle you? The water-wielding swordsman begins to glow with a bright blue light, covering his body in a half-a-meter-thick veil of water. Letting out a laugh, he yells at me. One scratch. Land one single scratch on my skin and I'll let you climb these floors in peace. If you can't do that, you'll start listening to me. Got it. Activating my stat-boosting skills, glowing with a gold and crimson aura, I yell out to him. Fine. You asked for it. Clenching my jaw and tightening my muscles, I begin charging up an attack. One scratch is all it'll take, so I'll make sure to get it over with in one blow. I joined the association to hunt stronger monsters, not to be pampered like a little kid. I want the freedom to do what I want, when I want, and where I want. Whatever happens now isn't my fault. He asked for it, and I'll give it to him. I open my item storage to let a few mana crystals fall out. They touch my skin, and I plunder their MP. I don't want to kill the guy, but I'll teach him a lesson for trying to step on my feet. I charge upon my ultimate attack for about 10 seconds, stirring around 3,500 MP into each of my blades. This is about 7,000 MP in total. With a powerful thrust, I bring both weapons across my body to let out an attack that could cut through a titan's domain like butter. The black and white crescents of energy hurtle toward the glowing blue-haired man. He raises his sword and braces for impact. I stand steady, watching in anticipation. He's really going to take my attack head on. On impact, the wind and fire expand, releasing a devastating amount of energy. The rocky ground explodes to bits, throwing dirt and stone everywhere for over 20 m in all directions. A shockwave blows rubble in my direction, and the red-haired hunter that came to watch runs in fear. I grin as the dust cloud settles, expecting the arrogant hunter to be begging on his knees for mercy. To my surprise, he stands unscathed in a small patch of untouched grass. The earth is chopped up and burned to ash everywhere but the spot he stands. I gulp, gripping my blades firmly. He laughs, powering down his blue glow, and letting his summoned water magic fall to the torn-up landscape below with a splash. Not bad at all. You aren't as weak as I thought you'd be. Still, you have a lot to learn. Chapter 152. As the swordsman lowers his dark blue blade and deactivates his magic skills, I watch in awe. He looks at me with a satisfied smirk as the clearly summoned water around his feet seeps into the recently upturned soil. He throws the blade in his hand to the ground and stretches both of his arms out wide. Come on, I'll give you one more shot. I won't even use a single skill to block you this time around. His dark eyes pierce the thick air between us, making direct contact with my own. His white teeth peek out from the crooked grin across his face, and he remains unguarded in the middle of the empty field. I activate my skills and charge my blades again, glowing golden red, filled with an odd sense of rage. Get ready. Plundering the MP from even more of my leftover MP crystals, I begin to eat away at my supply just to show off. So much for my plans of staying low-key. Teaching this so-called elite a lesson is more important right now. It takes just under 30 seconds for me to charge both of my blades nearly to full power. There's over 10 KMP in both of them combined. Letting out another reality-tearing attack, the white and black crescents of mana-imbued elemental mana rocket toward the defenseless elite C-class. Another explosion of wind and fire throws rock and dirt in all directions. I watch the red-haired hunter, Rylan, run behind the back wall of the inn to escape the blast. This time, the destructive fireball is close to double the size of my last attack. That cocky blue-haired hunter thought that was the best I could do and lowered his guard. Let's see how well he fared against this one. I smirk, letting the dust cloud clear. As it does, I hear the familiar slow clapping sound coming from within the dispersing sediments. Well done, well done. I am definitely going to have some fun with you. The director picked out an interesting brat for me to train after all. My eyes open wide, seeing the elite C-class hunter standing untouched on the same small patch of grass in the middle of the field. Blinking a few times, then swallowing hard, I think back to the moment before impact. Both of my attacks definitely hit him straight on, right across his chest in fact. There was no water magic blocking my attacks. It's like it hit an invisible shield. I couldn't get a close enough look before the explosion of red and white light to see what happened at the exact moment of impact. The blue-haired man walks over to me while placing his sword back into his item box. I was going back to sleep, but now that there's some excitement, I'll stay up a little bit longer. Let's grab some lunch and talk over a few more details before our training starts tomorrow. Conway's cooking ain't half bad. Just don't order the fish. I awkwardly stare straight ahead, still puzzled at his ability to completely nullify my attack. Plus, this easygoing attitude he's put on after I basically just tried to kill him over nothing. Is he really that much stronger than me? I reply in a low tone. I'd rather not wait for tomorrow. I was planning on climbing today. I gulp while putting my blades away into item storage. And what's wrong this the fish? He throws his arm around my shoulder with a chuckle. You really are an ambitious one, aren't you? Who said we'll be climbing tomorrow? I've got a lot to teach you, young one. I let out a sigh, wriggling out from his arm's grasp as we walk closer to the backside of the inn. Don't call me young one, you're not even that much older than me, and I'm climbing tomorrow whether you like it or not. I didn't come here dash. Fisher cuts me off, turning his head, giving me a stern look. Trust me, you must have been climbing for at least 20 hours straight. Some sleep will do you well. I grit my teeth, starting to respond, but a weak voice sounds from around the corner of the gray brick structure. Then a red head of hair slowly peeks out. Hey, are you guys done? Rylan walks over to us with a pale face and a blank expression. He gulps, then lets out another sentence in an excited tone. JJ, you didn't tell me you were in line to become an elite. At your age, that's some major news. Your face will be plastered all over the region any day now. Congrats. My mind continues to race as the redhead stares at me with a goofy grin. The blue-haired swordsman keeps walking toward the inn's entrance as I reply. I didn't exactly know about this either. Both of us follow Fisher inside as my mental turmoil grows more and more. Today was supposed to be a fun labyrinth farming adventure with Ember. Why'd it have to take a turn like this? The three of us sit down at one of the circular tables in the back of the room. Rylan keeps asking Fisher questions about new missions he's been on as I continue to zone out in my own little world. Finally, our food and drinks come out. I ask the first nagging question that comes to mind. Hey, how do you two know each other so well? It's not like Dash. Rylan cuts me off as Fisher takes a swig of his newly arrived cold drink. I used to be his personal trainer back in the association. That is, until he surpassed me within the first year. After a long gulp, the elite chimes in. Yeah, he taught me the basics. I owe him for that, but it's all about your natural-born talent and Dash. Money. It's about money. I grin as the redhead cuts off his former student's inspirational speech. Fisher rolls his eyes as Rylan continues, staring at me. The association must want to back you for one of the skills you have. If I'm not mistaken, that attack you threw earlier was both wind and fire, right? I swallow the food in my mouth and reply, It was. I pause, thinking about my next words carefully as the two of them eye me up and down. I have element stone imbued weapons. You saw my sword and dagger, right? Fisher jumps in. Enough. It doesn't really matter. Clearly, The director likes this kid, and I get a full 25 credits for the week if I can get him past floor 20. He turns to me. You'll be resting up today, no questions asked. If you can't manage to make a scratch on me unguarded in an empty field, you're on a one-way suicide mission if you face the behemoth now. You may not even be able to make it to the 20th floor at your current strength. I stare at him with a cold glare, then take another bite and reply with my mouth full. Fine. We'll do it your way. He smirks. Good. Finally, I've broken through that hard head of yours. I'll do some proper tests on you tomorrow and our training will start once we both wake up. How about we meet back here in 10 hours? Taking another bite, half listening to his words, I respond again. Sure. The three of us finish up our meals and Fisher insists we head up to our rooms. He may be tough, but I can see it in his eyes. This elite is sleep-deprived from climbing the labyrinth. This 10 hours of rest is more for him than for me. The small staircase in the back creaks as I walk up it. The wooden door of my room opens easily and I walk inside. The dusty scent of old wood and upswept floors fills my senses as I peer into the underwhelming living quarters. A single small bed close to the ground with white sheets, a small sink and mirror near the back wall, and a small dirty window. I let out a sigh, closing the door and sitting on the bed. It creaks as I mentally compare this 5M by 3M room to the luxury apartment I just started renting. Fisher believes I've been grinding my way up the dungeon for the last day just like him. It makes sense why he'd tell me to get some rest, but it's been less than 6 hours since I even woke up. My day is just getting started. I activate enemy detection and scan my surroundings to confirm there's no one behind the inn. Everyone is trading in the town or hanging out at the bar downstairs. Double-checking to make sure my door is locked, I activate Dungeon Walker and teleport myself into the massive dirt pit created earlier by my attack against the water-wielding swordsman. I grit my teeth as his arrogant face flashes into my head. I'll get to the 20th floor and beat the boss before he even wakes up. Without a moment's hesitation, I activate stealth and begin air-stepping away toward the back of the 10th floor dungeon. Chapter 153. With my stealth skill activated, I begin my trek through the 10th floor's Griffin dungeon. I need to get a significant distance away before thinking about letting Ember fly free. From now on, scanning my surrounding will be tougher than just looking for random high-level targets. Anything on this floor or above could be a hunter or a monster. I'll have to be extra careful. After 20 minutes of light jogging, I've come to the base of the first mountain. While moving forward, the layout of this labyrinth begins to bug the pattern recognition portion of my brain. A lot of the floors here have similar monsters to the smaller labyrinth I defeated before. There is a small difference in floor ranking though. The griffins here are on floor 10 while they were on floor 11 before. Other lower-level dungeons were swapped around the floors before this too. I guess it's somewhat random, but the strengths of monsters stay pretty consistent no matter what dungeon I fit them in. Griffins are still griffins. With a shrug, I make my way into the dense tree line at the base of this mountain. I scan the forest for enemies and trek around the backside to make certain that I'm not being watched. Ember flies free from my item storage when I'm sure we're not being watched. The moment he comes out of the white twisting spatial magic to spread his wings, I activate our telepathic link and deactivate my stealth skill. It's time to pick up the pace. Let's get to the 20th floor within the next few hours. I'm itching for a real fight. With a smirk, I crack my knuckles and look toward the backside of this dungeon. Griffins fly high in the sky, and the artificial sun shines down a yellow-orange light on the mountain range before us. Ember flaps his wings and replies as I airstep upwards to climb on his back. Understood. We fly off together, blending into the mountainside and soaring high with the griffins. Ember picks up his speed just like I've asked. We're able to fly through an entire dungeon in under 20 minutes. It doesn't take long for the two of us to clear the next few dungeons. Floors 10 through 15 are pretty basic layouts with rather weak monsters. They're all very similar to the exam's labyrinth. Looking back, I'm much stronger now. Arriving on the 16th floor, I realize we've come across another high ogre dungeon. This is the one that Rylan and his team were planning to train at tomorrow. The last 5 floors took us just under 2 hours to clear, but I'm starting to get the feeling a little extra mana is going to be needed for the upcoming floors. We still have 5 more to go, and the base mobs here are already above level 320. Mana crystal farming begins. Ember flies me around to every corner of the dungeon so I can get all of my teleportation points sorted. For the next 2 hours, I use Dungeon Walker to slaughter every high ogre in sight. At roughly 1 kill per minute, I take out 120 high ogres, totaling me nearly 40 KMP in loot, along with a few rings and swords. Taking my mana usage into account from teleporting and releasing over 100 small attacks, this little side mission has netted me about 25 KMP in profit. Looking into my item storage, I count roughly 75k worth of crystals in total. This should be more than enough for any enemies that cross my path in battles to come. Ember and I fly off to floor 17. It's a near replica of the Great Plains dungeon. There are rhino-like monsters and even mutants deeper in. I shudder at first, expecting titans to jump out any second and attack, but after a wide-range enemy detection scan, I don't sense a single one of them. It seems like that C-class dungeon in the capital is just an anomaly like Ember said. It's infected by void creepers, not a normal occurrence. We fly to the back of the dungeon to face off with the boss. So far, there hasn't been a single monster here that can't be taken out with one hit from my sword. Unfortunately, this level 371 boss turns out to be the same. A single 500 MP charged fire-imbued slash to the neck topples the beast. I make it to floor 18. This time around, as I take Ember out of my pocket dimension, I shiver for a valid reason. Not because I'm scared, but because of the snow that falls all around us. There's a thick white blizzard raging in all directions. Looking ahead more than 10 m or so is near impossible. It reminds me of the mammoth dungeon I faced before with my team, just much more extreme. Ember and I both ignite our full bodies into flames. This is the first time I've seen his advanced fire magic in its full glory. Both of us create immense heat, and at first, I'm hesitant to get too close. The last time I touched advanced fire magic, I had to cut off my own arm to put the flames out. I open the telepathic link and the flaming dragon speaks. As per the contract you agreed to, our souls are linked. My flames cannot burn you, and your flames will not do harm to me. With a gulp, I walk forward to reach out and touch the flickering black and red flames with my left hand. I leave it engulfed in the fire for a few seconds, then bring it back. Letting out a sign of relief, I mumble under my breath. Nothing happened. With a grin, I hop on Ember's back and we both increase our fire summoning output to melt through the storm. Using enemy detection as we begin to fly toward the back of the dungeon, I find a few slow-moving targets on my radar. They're all between levels 360 and 370. My curiosity tempts me, but I decide to just wait for the boss. It'll be a better fight anyways. As we fly higher and higher into the sky, the snow begins to clear up a bit. I can make out an impossibly high mountain off in the distance. It's made of dark black rock, somewhat covered in snow at the base, jutting up to the top of the dungeon out of sight. It appears the portal is at the top of the mountain. The flaming black-scaled dragon doubles its velocity and begins gliding upwards with powerful flaps of its wings through the heavy wind and snow. I grit my teeth and hold on. Our flames leave a dark red trail of fire residue behind as we begin to tilt upwards. The snow and ice coming down grows thicker and our fire burns hotter. I activate enemy detection and inspect as we near the top. 800 m. LV. 387. LV. 369. LV. 368. LV. 366. A small reading pops up to show 4 enemies on my radar. One of them is much more powerful than anything else in the dungeon, and they're still nearly 1 kilometer above us. The thought that these could be hunters crosses my mind, but judging by their levels, it's highly unlikely. There are 3 of them that are the same as the base mobs in this dungeon. It would be much more worth their while to stay down below and continue training. I've also learned that this is a common pattern for mutants. A group of base-level mobs traveling with a leader. It's the perfect pre-boss showdown. We continue to rip through the skies. I take out my blades while adding a red and golden hue to my aura. Whatever is up there is going to be ready to fight. So I am too. As we near the mountaintop, the shape of its apex comes into view. Impossible to see from below in the heavy snow, but now fully visible as we soar out of the heavy cloud cover in a magnificent ball of flames. Ember and I look down on a flat mountaintop. It's covered in a layer of snow from past storms, and multiple sharpened pillars of stone randomly pierce through, showing their jet-black coloring. It's silent. The wind has stopped, and the visibility has drastically increased. My eyes dart across the 200-meter-long, circular plateau-like area. Near the backside, a spinning gray boss room portal waits for us to jump through. Standing in our way, there are 4 massive snow yetis. A wide grin creeps across my face as I examine the new creatures. They're all roughly 4 m tall, with monkey-like frames and thick white fur that almost blends into the snow. Their leader in the back is over 5 m tall, carrying no weapons at all. Their eyes glow red, while their brown ape-like hands and facial features contrast the lighter snowy background. Spots us. The mutant leader stomps its feet, letting out a roar and pointing both of its arms straight at us. Low grunting noises sound from its 3 minions. They begin to charge, staying in a firm triangular formation as they approach. Opening the telepathic link with Ember, I point down to the monsters and speak. Stay back. I'm going to have some fun. After this, there's only one floor between us and the 20th. Chapter 154. Ember slowly flies down to the plateau below as the 3 snow yetis come charging at us. They all start glowing golden yellow with the familiar aura of extreme strength, one of the same stat-boosting buffs that I use. I jump off the flaming dragon's back and begin to fall downward, charging up my sword and dagger. My dark fire magic keeps the cold air away from my body as I plummet to the ground. After falling for close to 3 seconds, the 50 m drop comes to an end. I let out my attack on the nearby yetis, releasing close to 1000 MP per blade. Using the last remainder of my MP stores, I activate my wind magic to lessen the impact of my fall onto the hard ground. My feet hit the snow-covered stone floor, still cracking the hard rock floor, sending black fragments flying off in all directions. I smirk, taking out a few extra mana crystals to plunder MP, as I watch the crescents of energy slice the charging monsters all in half. Their bloodied bodies stain the white snow as I hear a light thud from Ember landing behind me. This short victory is followed by the roar of a gold-glowing mutant running at me with murderous intent. Still grinning, I charge up my attack again, a full 2000 MP strike. From almost 30 m away, the white and black energy blades rocket through the air to make contact with the monster's torso. It flashes a dull white light, and I see my attack halt in midair for a moment right before impact. I do a double take while plundering a crystal to restore my MP. A few fractions of a second later, the facade of an invisible shield breaks, and the blades of wind and fire slash the mutant beast in 2. Its mutilated body hits the floor with 2 loud thuds. I continue to plunder MP from my excess crystals, but a slight concern itches at the back of my mind. While waiting for the monster to dissolve so I can take their loot, I mumble under my breath. I wasn't imagining that, was I? I shake my head a few times, then breathe in the cold, refreshing air on the mountain's top while letting my flames die down a little bit. Ember comes up behind me, so I activate the link. He speaks. Shall we defeat the boss? Like you said, there's only one more floor before the 20th. I pause for a moment, then ramp up my flames and grin my swords tightly. Let's do it. Pushing the odd occurrence with that mutant yeti to the back of my head, the 2 of us trek through the snow to the swirling gray mass of energy at the backside of the plateau. Moments later, we both step through. The white transfer magic clears from my vision, but it's hard to tell the difference between the blinding white light and the sight before my eyes. I blink a few times, looking around aimlessly with a slight sense of confusion. Activating my all-seeing eye along with enemy detection and inspect, things become a bit more clear. The boss is near. 100 m. LV. 399. The shadowy figure of a 6 m tall, massive, white-furred, ape-like creature comes charging toward me. I can see its golden glow from a distance peeking through the dense overcast of white snow. Only now that my perception senses are active, can I tell that we're in a cave-like room. It's about 200 m in diameter and the ceiling is blocked off with a dome. Bursting into flames, Ember flies high up above me as I run forward. Again, I charge up both my blades to use up nearly a full bar of MP 2000 points. Both of us draw nearer and nearer until its dark face comes into view and I'm glared down by its glowing red eyes. I let out a yell and it returns the favor with a roar. Releasing my attack, I watch the two powerful crescents of mana soar. They split through the air, melting and blowing away the heavy snowfall, aimed straight at the creature in front of me. Moments before impact, my eyes open wide to watch this beast glow with a dim white light. The metallic twang that's ingrained in my mind from weeks in the Titan's domains echoes throughout the 18th floor boss room. My jaw drops as I watch the white-furred monster deflect both of my attacks. With its bare hands, a thin layer of white light shines bright, covering its palms on impact, pushing back the high-density mana attacks. Some energy breaks through, slicing deep cuts in its palms, but most of the attack it pushed upwards to fly off into the upper regions of the boss room. I'm left wide-eyed and speechless as I stare at the beast that continues to run my way. Its palms are dripping blood. The attack didn't miss, it was overpowered. There's no way it could be this strong. I gulp, using Inspect, Appraisal, and air-stepping up into the sky for a better view of the situation below. LV 399. Active items. Yeti's Charm plus 50% defense plus 50% ice magic resistance. Active skills. Extreme strength. I tighten my lips and raise an eyebrow, trying to think all of this through. The monster barely has any gear, and its skill doesn't even have any upgrades. None of this makes any sense. What's going on? I grit my teeth, burst into flames, and charge up another dual attack. This time around, I eat into my mana crystal stores much more than before. Maybe it was a lucky break. More power will take this Yeti easily. In mid-air, floating about 20 m from the incoming monster, I imbue roughly 2000 MP per blade. That's double the strength of my last attack. With another yell, I release the built-up energy. The two crescents hurtle toward the monster. It looks up at me with its glowing red eyes while stopping in place. Plants its feet and puts its arms out straight ahead. That same dim white glow appears. On impact, I watch closely with my all-seeing eye locked in the monster's hands. The flaming black and whistling white mana attacks pause in midair for a fraction of a second before hitting the beast. My perception skill picks up an odd reading. I gulp, trying to understand why and how this creature's skin is becoming so dense with mana all of a sudden every time my attack comes near. The microscopic layer of pure mana in front of its hands actually covers its entire body. The glow and flash of white light is made when its broken and mana is released on impact. If I saw this kind of barrier anywhere else, I'd think it was a man-made mana shield. More gears begin turning in my head as I compare the density of the mana to my own attack. As the two blades of energy grind through the beast's defenses, I let out a whisper under my breath. So, monsters can learn mana control too. The dense barrier being formed by the beast was strong enough to block my first attack, but this second one is twice as strong. I hear a roar from the boss monster below me as the flash of white light triggers the explosion of my fire and wind as they break through its refined mana defenses. The beast explodes into dozens of parts as I give it a small bow of my head as respect. That was the first strong opponent I've fought so far in this labyrinth. The fun is just about to begin. I use my wind magic to hover down to the icy floor. The fallen monster is already beginning to dissolve. I let out a laugh, spinning my sword and dagger around, admiring my work. Ember drifts down beside me as pick up the fallen loot. It's a large mana crystal, along with a heavy circular blue stone. I use appraisal. Yeti's Charm plus 50% defense plus 50% ice magic resistance. After examining the small blue rock to confirm it's nothing too extraordinary, I throw it into my item storage along with the mana crystal. While my spatial magic is still open, I expand it so Ember can fit inside. I turn on our telepathic link as well. That was almost a decent fight, wouldn't you agree? Maybe this behemoth will be a pretty good fight after all. What do you think? The flaming dragon nods. I believe you will face greater challenges the higher we climb. I suggest you let me fight if things get too difficult. I pause, then reply, only if I'm in real life-threatening danger. Otherwise, let me fight my own battles. I'm here to get stronger by fighting tough opponents. I got enough free levels in the Titan's domain. Understood. Ember smiles and walks into my pocket dimension. The white light of the transfer magic fills my vision moments later. It's time to face floor 19. Chapter 155. The white transfer magic leaves my vision as I ready my blades, turning on enemy detection. The sky above me is a pale gray, and the landscape in front of me is made of completely black glossy stone. Formations of rectangular-shaped rocks jut out from the ground in crystal-like structures. They form walls, creating an abstract maze of pathways as far as the eye can see. I gulp, moving my head back and forth, then opening my spatial magic to let Ember out. With a burst of dark flames, the dragon appears. I hop on his back and we fly up into the sky to take a better look at the landscape. What I see below is intriguing but not exactly comforting. The four-sided crystal-like black stone structures fill the entire dungeon in all shapes and sizes. Some are mountain-sized, creating high peaks in the distance. Some consolidate together, creating rolling hills and valleys. Other sections are more abstract, making winding mazes that hunters could get lost in for hours. We soar through the air in silence, as the ominous structures whiz by, below us. I sense a few enemies on the way, but I haven't gotten a close look at one just yet. They're all between levels 390 and 400. Until Ember. I point down toward a massive flat black structure off at the distance about 500 m away. There's a lone enemy standing in the middle of it. This one caught my eye when sensed it on my radar. It's the same exact level as me. LV 408. Let's go down there. I need a warm-up before the boss room. This must be some kind of mutant. With a powerful flap of his wings, Ember changes his flight path and starts a direct course for the soon-to-be battlefield. Squinting, I can make out a humanoid figure just over 200 m away now. I've never seen a dungeon like this and definitely haven't faced the monsters within it. The fact that these monsters are my level means they'll have enough EXP to actually give me some proper growth. Finally, it's time to get stronger. We glide down faster and faster. The mysterious monster finally comes into sight and I get a solid look at the creature. It looks like a man. A very, very oversized man with red skin standing nearly 4 m tall. With human-like facial features, but sharp, jagged, parrot-like teeth. The beast turns toward me, letting out an eardrum-bursting shriek. It's almost the size of a yeti, but much more compact and agile-looking. Muscles ripple all over its body, and bulging veins pop out through a layer of lightweight silver armor, and its sharp green eyes stare vehemently into mine. Lastly, it carries a long silver sword. I use appraisal. Active items. Berserker Giant's armor set plus 1000 defense. Berserker Giant's long sword. Blood bonded plus 1000 attack plus 500 agility. Active skills. Swordsmanship. Berserker. I jump off Ember's back to plummet down at the creature. The dragon hovers above, awaiting orders. I let out an excited laugh while activating all of my stat-boosting skills, charging my blades, and bursting into flames. The beast below me continues to screech, beginning to glow red from its berserker skill. Its eyes dart back and forth with extreme precision. I watch the monster swing its long silver sword around, readying it as I descend from the sky above. It doesn't flinch for a second as I charge my blades up to 2000 MP each, dipping into my stored mana crystals. This is 4000 MP in total, the same amount it took to defeat the Yeti boss. Grinning ear to ear, less than 15 m above the ground. I let out a battle cry to match its screeching. My attack of fire and wind erupts from both blades and hurtles toward the red glowing beast. I watch it shift its body weight and grip its sword tight. A devious grin shows on the monster's face. The jagged teeth reflect the light of my incoming strike. Using my wind magic, I slow my fall to watch the two energy attacks collide with the Berserker Giant's silver sword. A flash of white light appears on impact, and I watch the monster before me block both of my elements, imbued slashes to the side like a foul ball. There is some pushback on impact, but no damage is done to the giant or its blade. That same invisible shield of mana is being used again, and it's much stronger this time around. I grit my teeth, remembering back to the Yeti blocking my attack with its bare hands. Now, a double-strength attack blocked with an effortless swing of the sword? Without a moment's hesitation, the green-eyed berserker shifts its weight again, locking its gaze on me in the sky and sprinting forward with terrifying speed and agility. Before I can think to move, the monster jumps up in the air with its sword pointed straight ahead, like a rocket, shooting up from the ground. I watch in awe as the 4 m tall giant jumps over 10 m in the air with its blade aimed right at me. I airstrip upwards and the creature continues to follow another 10 m up into the sky. I watch in awe as this beast jumps over 5 times its height without breaking a sweat. Dungeon Walker. I blip away, about 100 m backward, even higher up in the sky. I take a deep breath, activating my all-seeing eye to re-access the scene. The giant falls to the floor with a thud far away from me. I airstep closer but keep my distance, examining the beast and its surroundings. It glares at me, holding its sword steady while glowing red and pacing back and forth. Ember's voice tugs at the back of my mind, so I open top our link momentarily. He speaks. That was a good start. I fought a similar class of berserkers in my past life. They're skilled battle opponents, but simple to defeat once you figure out their techniques. I clench my jaw, a bit embarrassed about having to retreat after my first attack went south. I'll get it this time. Just watch. Cutting off my link, then staring down at the pacing menace, I begin charging up an ultimate attack. Opening up my item storage, I don't try to conserve a drop of MP. The only thing on my mind is taking this creature out. The way it stares at me with its sharp green eyes and open mouth like I'm its prey makes me sick. The faster I can rid the world of that pest, the better. I begin to float downward, making sure not to get too close to the berserker's jumping range. After 20 seconds or so, I've charged up a decent attack. Full of rage, I've managed to build up 4,000 MP per blade. More. Continuing to glide closer and closer to the savage beast. Another 10 seconds pass and I've charged up a 10k MP attack. This is nearing my upper limit. Aiming straight and letting out a yell, I let the highly refined flames and wind soar from my blades. The dual high-pressure attack tears through the dungeon's thick air, leaving heat residue in its path. The berserker's lips curl at either side, and its green eyes bulge at the sight of my new attack. It grips its sword and begins to glow dark red while planting its back foot. A smile of my own creeps across my face as I realize it's going to take my attack head-on. The one I just released is well over twice as powerful as the last. This beast is in for a surprise. Hoping to watch Berserker Giant's guts fill my vision, I eagerly wait for the moment of impact. Watching closely with my all-seeing eye, new information is uncovered during this exchange. As the two dense crescents of energy make contact with the giant's blade, the usual white flash of dense mana being released blinds me. Before impact, I watch the two dense barriers collide. The energy is almost acting like two solid objects, hence the loud metallic twang, but it's still hard to tell exactly how it's done. Before I'm able to extract any more data, the wind and fire magic expands, exploding into an array of white and red flames and white wind. This is good. Last time the attacks were completely deflected. This time they managed to hit something and explode on impact. Surely I landed a fatal attack. Smirking, I keep my guard up, but slowly float down to check out the scene. As the magic residue, along with chunks of rock and dust, begin to clear, I let out a slight gasp. I'm filled with excitement, along with a bit of nerves at the sight before me. The berserker still stands gripping its sword, glowing bright red. His entire right arm is badly burned, but somehow not on fire. Deep cuts from my wind magic have sliced up its torso and dragged its armor. It drips red blood onto the hard black dungeon floor. I can see every last one of its teeth as the jagged smile cuts deep into my soul from nearly 30 m up in the air. It lets out a screech, jumping upward with its sword pointed taut ahead. The monster is ready for more. I let out a chuckle. Now, this is going to be a good fight. Chapter 156. The blood-dripping berserker giant falls to the floor after attempting its jump into the sky. I check my mana crystal supplies. There's just under 60k MP worth of crystals in my item storage. Judging by the state of this monster, and its tendency to throw itself in front of my attacks, it seems like I'll be able to defeat it in just a few more hits. Grinning, I charge up both of my blades again. The white and red lights glow on both sides of my body as I concentrate on refining the dense mana flowing through my veins down into a perfect attack. Locking my eyes on the target below, nearly 30 seconds pass as I charge up my attack full close to 10k MP. Once it's ready, I let the energy crescents soar. Same as before, they rocket downwards toward the grinning beast. Plants its foot and raises its blade, bracing for impact. Moments before the Manadance strikes make contact, I see a red blur move across the flat battlefield. The twisted grin of this menace haunts me as it runs from my attack. A loud cracking sound rings out seconds later as 10k MP worth of hard-earned mana hits the glossy stone structure below, exploding into a vibrant red, white light show below. I scowl, air-stepping away while keeping my vision locked on the speeding berserker. I can't tell what it's doing, but I know it just messed up my attack and I'm not happy about it. This win isn't going to come as easily as I thought it would. Resentfully charging up another 10k worth of MP, I plan an attack I've been meaning to try for a few days now. After 30 seconds go by and both my blades are near the point of full mana saturation, I concentrate hard on my target and whisper 2 words under my breath. Dungeon Walker. Teleporting to the opposite side of the black square arena, still over 20 m in the air, I release my dual attack. In the blink of an eye, I teleport over 100 m to the other side of our battlefield right behind the hideous creature. Now, with the element of surprise on my side, the white and black energy blades rip through the air with all-seeing eye-guided precision. It takes fractions of a second for the dense mana output to reach its intended destination. Watching it hurtle toward the berserker's back, I let out a victory yell. It lands a perfect, unguarded hit. A bright white light shines on impact. Then, after half a second of lag, wind and fire magic erupt from the target. Crimson-red flames along with near-invisible razor-sharp gusts of wind shoot out in all directions. I air-step closer full of curiosity, eager to admire my job well done. Today is the first time I've been able to test my new Mona refinement abilities on a moving enemy that can actually take a hit. The dust clears as I approach, but I stop abruptly as a red glow seeps out from below me. It's followed by another ear-piercing screech as the menace jumps up with its sword pointed straight ahead. There are more residual burns and gashes from my wind slashes and fire magic, but somehow, it hasn't slowed down one bit. If anything, the beast has gotten faster and stronger from taking these attacks. I use Dungeon Walker to teleport backward again, about 30 m high in the sky. It takes a considerable amount of wind magic to keep me upright in the sky. I'm having to plunder MP from crystals more than I'd like to. It's the only way to avoid the leaping monster's attacks. It hits the ground with another thud, locking its eyes on me again and sprinting around in circles with greater speed than its previous attack. This is how berserkers work. The more I attack, the more that beast will enjoy the fight. The closer it gets to dying, the more danger I'll be in. It seems like I'll be safe if I stay high up in the sky though. I just need to land a few more attacks. Peering into my item storage, I count just under 50k MP worth of crystals. Burning through my whole supply would allow for 5 more solid attacks. Possibly, if I can manage to land every last one of them, maybe that will be enough. Grinning, I begin to charge up another full power attack into both of my blades. The berserker stares at me from below, salivating at the thought of battle. Moments before releasing my strike, I dungeon walk to the opposite side of the monster and let it soar. After a flash of white light and a wind-filled fiery explosion, the rubble and dust clear up again. I hit the beast, and it's even more scorched and bloody than before, but its wicked grin just keeps getting wider and wider. It's a bit off-putting, but I like this monster's style. Charging up another 10k MP attack, the smirk across my face begins to look similar to the monster I'm trying to defeat. Dungeon walking to its far side again, I let out another dual strike. As lights flash and flames fly up in the air, a laugh escapes my lips. Energy surges through my veins as I begin charging up another strike before the dust even clears. This is fun. Deep wounds show all over the berserker's thick red skin. Its light armor is riddled with holes and slash marks. A trail of red blood follows the beast as it continues to run across the flat, arena-like surface below. With its silver sword held steady and green eyes locked on me, the monster doesn't flinch for a second, jumping at me again. Dungeon walking behind it, I let out another attack as it screeches out in agony. Every time I do so, I activate my all-seeing eye to collect more data on the mana refinement that these new dungeon creatures have. So far, I found that moments before impact, the creature lets out a thin layer of dense mana surrounding its skin. To me, if I were not using my perception abilities, this mana shield would be invisible to the naked eye until impacted with an equal or greater force. The flash of white light seems to be the release of used MP after a clash of attacks. If my shots were weaker, they may have just bounced off without making much of a white glow at all. The dust clears from my most recent attack and the beast is still standing. Its movements and strength seem to all be at 100%, but based on its physical appearance I can tell about 50% of its HP is spent. I airstep higher into the sky, counting less than 15k MP left in my storage. I scowl but push forward. I'm too far into this battle to give up now. I can't just leave halfway through after burning through all of my hard-earned MP. It's all or nothing. I need to do one final attack to finish this monster off for good. After a deep breath, I begin charging up both blades again. This time, not holding back in the slightest. I glow red and gold with the power from my Bloodlust, Berserker, and Extreme Strength buffs. Plundering the MP from every last drop of mana crystal I have in my storage, my blades begin to glow and rattle. The Berserker's eyes widen and it begins to glow darker red as well. With that silver sword at the ready, it's eager to take on my newest attack head-on. Just like in my past attempts, whenever charging up past my limits, the fire and wind elements begin eating away at my hands and arms. This can be healed later, but it's definitely painful in the moment. Struggling to hold on for over 40 seconds, I manage a full charge. This is one of the biggest unaided attacks I've let out since the Titan's domain. A total of 13.5k MP all stored up in one dual attack. With a yell, I dungeon walk to the monster's blind spot and let it soar. The release of energy feels incredible in the moment as I watch each mana blade glide through the air. The only downside is, my MP nearly hits zero as I fall from the sky. Watching the collision of attacks from a distance, the ground gets closer and closer. The white flash, followed by a ball of fire, puts a grin across my face. The red glow and murderous screech that follows do not. My heart skips a beat as I watch the now one-armed menace jump 10m in the air out from the cloud of dust and rubble. Gushing blood and glowing red, the Berserker points its silver sword at me, sporting a twisted smile. I fall toward the monster, fully able to activate Dungeon Walker as I please, but not interested in the slightest. My final attack almost did the job. Just one more and I could have finished this beast off. I think of calling for Ember or even going back to the lower floors to farm more MP, but none of these options will satiate my craving for killing this monster in battle right here and now. Gritting my teeth as I fall closer and closer to the glowing Berserker below me, I reach into my item storage to pull out a strengthening fragment. Holding it in the same hand as my dagger, I smirk while bringing it closer to my mouth. The real fight is about to begin. Chapter 157. I watch the ground get closer and closer as the Berserker lies in wait below. This is the only way. I toss the small black strengthening fragment into my mouth and prepare for its full power to be unleashed. As the tingling sensation in my fingertips begins, I get a nagging sensation on my telepathic link. It's Ember. Master, this is not wise. I clench my jaw while the gem begins to activate. Pins and needles form all over my body, and the warm feeling of near-limitless mana begins pouring into my chest, then circulating through my veins. Letting out a gasp, I begin charging my blades without a moment's hesitation, then reply, "This must be done. Just catch me when I fall." Understood. Blades glowing and Dungeon Walker activated. I blip around to the backside of the one-armed, heavily breathing Berserker. In less than 10 seconds, a 15k MP attack has already easily been charged. This is far more powerful than anything I've thrown at the beast so far. I release it instantly, charging another one up as I dungeon walk to its opposite side. A flash of white flight followed by the fiery explosion clouds my vision, but I push through. The moment I see a dim red glow from within peek out, I release another full-force 15k MP attack. The negative effects of the strengthening fragment are starting to take place. Even pumped up on battle adrenaline, the influx of mana into my bloodstream is overwhelming. Releasing 15k MP attacks with no cooldown in between is extremely painful, but euphoric at the same time. The feeling of 1,000 tiny knives piercing my body returns, partnered with both hot and cold sensations all over confusing my senses. With a yell, I let out another 15k MP attack straight into the fiery cloud rubble, hoping to get a final shot in on the mutilated monster. With my vision blurring, I try to charge a fourth attack, but it's no use. My eyes roll into the back of my head and I black out, just like the last time I tried one of these fragments. Everything goes dark. Level up. Master. Master, it looks like you're moving again. I let out a groan as I wake up to the level up notification bringing me to level 409. My bones feel frail and my muscles ache like they're about to snap. I try to use self-regeneration, but realize I'm completely out of MP. Moving my head back and forth slowly, while sitting up and adjusting to the light, I take in the view. A large crater has been made in the middle of the perfect smooth square-shaped battlefield. Ember sits beside me, and both of my blades rest on the ground nearby. Did I kill it? You did, and we've leveled up too. I see a grin creep across the dragon's face. Letting out a chuckle as I groan and stand to my feet, I reply, I knew you wouldn't be too mad if there was something in it for you as well. You'll rank up in no time. I place a hand on the glossy scales lining the monster's back. Mind if I borrow some MP? It's all yours, master. I begin to plunder a few hundred mana points, attempting to regenerate my sore body. It helps a bit, but the aftermath of overusing MP can't be healed so easily. Appreciate it. It's still just Jay, by the way. Well, call me whatever you want, I guess. I place my blades into my item storage, getting ready to teleport us out of here, but then remember one of the most important questions I forgot to ask. Did that Berserker drop any loot? Ember turns to the crater. I believe it did. I slowly walk over to the large hole in the ground filled with excitement. This beast was no ordinary monster. Its item drop will most likely be pretty interesting. The edge of the 20m wide, 5m deep pit nears. I peer over the edge to see two items on the ground below. The first is a large mana crystal, and the second is a long silver sword. I jump down into the crater and activate appraisal to get a better look. Berserker Giant's long sword, unbonded plus 1000 attack plus 500 agility. Nodding slowly, grinning at the shiny new sword in my possession, I think back to the first time I appraised this monster. I'm sure the text that reads, Unbonded read blood bonded moments ago. I scratch my chin, plundering the mana crystal and waving the shining sword around aimlessly in the air with a stupid grin across my face. Doing so brings another question to mind. Hey Ember, how long was I out? No more than 15 minutes, it wasn't too long. I nod while placing the odd weapon into my inventory. That's longer than last time, but not too bad. Letting out a sigh, I stretch my back and arms. I have no mana left, and my body feels like it's about to fall apart if I don't get some proper rest. We're going back to the 10th floor. This was a good first day of climbing. It seems like the 20th floor boss room may be pretty difficult after all. Very well. I open up my spatial magic portal and allow Ember to walk inside. Without another thought, I dungeon walk back to my rented room at the 10th floor Checkpoint Inn. I close my eyes and fall asleep. Hours later, I wake up to a loud banging on the wooden door less than 3 m from my bed. I rub my eyes and groan while rolling off the low bed frame down to the floor. Jay, rise and shine. Time for your first day of training. The sound of Fisher's arrogant, but enthusiastic voice rings out loud and clear through the poorly made thin walls. I stand up to struggle to walk across the room to turn the lock. Yeah, I'm awake. What is it? The door swings open and I see the blue-haired swordsman grinning at me with Rylan close behind. Fisher points to the redhead. He's tagging along today too. Rylan waves at me with a cheerful grin on his face. Hey, it's not every day I get to see elite-level training. I may learn a few things. I open my mouth to reply, but Fisher continues. Come on, let's get some breakfast. I'll fill you in on the day's tasks. I walk out the door with a nod, closing it behind me with a light thud. Fisher takes the lead, walking down the steps as Rylan talks my ear off about how his team is going off to hunt high ogres while he stays here for a few more days. I just woke up. All this stimulation isn't helping my headache and sore parts. As I walk down the wooden steps, I can feel the individual joints in my ankles and knees crack. They make slight popping sounds and I'm struck with a sharp pain after every step. It's nothing I can't handle, just a bit annoying. The three of us walk over to the front desk to be greeted by Mr. Conway. Well, good morning to the three of you. Well, the man looks down at his watch. Actually, it's closer to midnight in the outside world, but good morning to ya anyways. It looks like you've all gotten to know each other a bit better now. Am I right? Fisher smirks, putting an arm around both Rylan and me. Yeah, we're getting along just fine. A squirm out from his grip with an annoyed look on my face. Rylan, on the other hand, looks pretty used to this treatment. The blue-haired swordsman speaks up again. Another round of drinks and food, the house special. Jay is starting his training today. I'll be teaching him about the Tier 1 techniques and how a Tier 0 can handle higher-level monsters. The old man looks over to me, smirks, then looks back at Fisher. Got it, your food and drink will be out shortly. Take a seat. The innkeeper points to an empty table nearby and walks over to a small door near the far side of the counter, whispering under his breath with a grin. Oh, what it would be like to be young again. Fisher leads us over to the table, shouting to the old man. Thanks, Conway. We all sit down and wait in silence for a few seconds. I look the elite in the eyes with a puzzled expression on my face. What did you mean by all of that? A Tier 1 and a Tier 0? What do all these terms mean? I gulp, eager for a reply. Rylan listens wide-eyed and grinning. Fisher nods, putting both hands on the table before replying. The tiers I mentioned are just a system the association created to track the progress of mana control in elite-level hunters. I'm a Tier 1, a low-grade, but still a Tier 1. You are definitely a Tier 0 if I had to guess you're still a low-grade, but on the edge of breaking into the mid-grade range. This week you'll be breaking through. I squint my eyes, still confused about what these tiers even represent. Fisher continues. Remember yesterday? When you threw that highly refined mana attack at me and I didn't use a single skill to block it. I nod, thinking back to the time I threw that attack at his open chest and it didn't make a single scratch. It reminds me of the Yeti and Berserker I fought earlier too. They all used a similar technique. Fisher leans in. Well, this is a Tier 1 mana control technique called mana shielding. We'll be working on a few ways to improve your mana control this week. It's the only way you'll be able to stand a chance on higher floors. The behemoth's mana shielding is near the level of my own. Chapter 158. I stare blankly at Fisher. This advanced mana control technique he's talking about makes sense. The only thing that bugs me is the fact that this ability is pretty well known in the association. I had no idea it existed before I learned it. I reply, So you're saying, by the end of the week you'll be able to teach me how to create a defensive technique like your own? The swordsman smirks, then lets out a laugh. Yeah, right. I said we'd work on some techniques to help you break through one of these shields. Learning how to form one yourself is on a whole different skill level. Plus, we have one task this week. There's no point in focusing on anything else, right? Efficiency is key. I grin as he nods to me. Right? Kill the behemoth. After a long pause, the old man's voice rings out from the back room. Food is ready. Eat up and get out. The innkeeper brings over 3 steaming hot plates of food on a silver platter along with 3 drinks in his other hand. Once served, I eat up like this is my first meal in days. Trust me, I know what that feels like. Expending massive amounts of mana puts my body into shock like it's back in the Titan's domain. After hard training like this, I always try to eat as much as I can and use self-regeneration to its limits. Even so, it still takes days to recover fully. The 3 of us pig out for a few minutes, enjoying the feast in front of us and ignoring everything in the surrounding area. About 5 minutes in, once food isn't the only thing on our minds, Rylan speaks up. So, what will you 2 do for training today? He looks over to Fisher as he gulps down his drink and waves at Mr. Conway to grab him another. The redhead continues. Jay has an element-imbued weapon just like you. Are you going to start him off with mountain training? Or is there not enough time for something like that? I raise an eyebrow, confused at the sound of this so-called mountain training. Fisher replies while wiping his mouth with his sleeve. Usually, new elite recruits can't manage to complete that training method in months if they tried. The director says you're a special case, just like me. He smirks, downing a fork full of food and turning to me. I finished mine in under a week. You can handle it, right? I shrug, shoveling another bite of food into my mouth too. After swallowing hard, I reply, whatever it is, if it'll make me stronger, I'm in. I take another bite and zone out as the 2 of them laugh and start a new conversation about the association and a few previous missions they were both on recently. I don't know either of these 2 guys very well. Rylan seems like he wouldn't harm a fly, and Fisher is one of the strongest hunters I've ever met. After facing one of the mobs on floor 19, and having to use a strengthening fragment to finish it off, I can only imagine what comes after that. All of this talk about mana control is making me pretty excited. It's a new power I can harness to get stronger and stronger. The way Fisher explained those tiers makes it seem like I have a long way to go. I may be strong enough to weasel in a victory aided by a mana-boosting drug, but it won't be enough to face floor 20. I can tell I'm going to have to put some trust in Fisher and let him teach me a few things this week. Ember seems to know a thing or 2 about mana control as well. I'll have to pick his brain when I get a chance. We continue our meals, and the blue-haired swordsman throws a silver coin onto the innkeeper's desk. Come on, let's get started. The more time you have to do training, the better. Fisher points at the door, motioning for us all to leave. I get up from my seat with a plate licked clean. Rylan follows and speaks up as we near the door. You don't have to keep paying for meals here. It's all taken care of by the association. The front door creaks open as the elite replies. I know, it's just an old habit of mine. The 3 of us walk outside and make our way over to the backside of the inn. The large crater from our little altercation yesterday is gone. Like it never happened. I point to the flat, rock-filled grassy earth, shouting out to the hunters in front of me. Hey, did someone fix this? What's going on here? Why is the hole I made earlier today completely gone? Fisher responds but doesn't even bother to turn around. Come on, this way. If you don't know already, that's part of your training too. I'll fill you in once we make it to our destination. Ifine, where are we going anyways? The blue-haired swordsman points up in the sky toward the closest mountain in the dungeon. Its rocky base has to be nearly 1 kilometer wide and it towers high into the sky. It's the smallest mountain here, but still pretty impressive. I nod and follow along. The pair love to talk it up. While they're bragging to each other about quests completed, I'm taking out diving griffins as they fall from the sky. Our walk takes just under 30 minutes. As we arrive near the base of the first towering peak, I finally start asking questions again. This mid-morning stroll was nice and all, But it's time to get down to business. Hey, Fisher. Now are you going to tell me why someone took the time out of their day to fill up a hole I made in a dungeon? I still don't get it. He lets out a chuckle. I didn't realize you were still thinking about that. I give him a light glare. What does it have to do with my training anyways? Grinning, the swordsman turns his body to point an open palm up at the mountain above us. It relates to your training a lot, actually. I'm surprised you've never heard about dungeon regeneration rates. No, I haven't. Explain. Dungeons and the monsters within them are made of pure mana. The only exception is when specific dropped items convert energy to actual worldly mass. I nod slowly as he continues. Dungeons are created to look, act, and perform in a certain way. Dungeons and labyrinths grow stronger as the hunters, bring more mana into them. If reckless idiots come in and rampage the place to leave it a mess, who would want to come back for more? How will the dungeons and labyrinths get stronger? I start to open my mouth as gears begin to turn in my head. Fisher continues. Every isolated dungeon has a specific regeneration rate. Some that have stronger mana tend to regenerate faster, and others with weaker mana levels tend to heal a bit slower. Size, location, age, mob levels, if the dungeon is in a labyrinth or not, there are a lot of factors that play into this. I finally get a word in, now understanding how the floor magically returned to normal overnight. So, how long is the rate on this one? The elite grins. Just under 8 hours. I start scratching my chin and thinking to myself about this concept. It seems like Fisher knows a bit more than I thought, but I have more insight on this new discovery than most hunters would ever get in a lifetime. I am, after all, bonded with a labyrinth guardian, a literal dragon. Ember has enlightened me on a few things. The first being, monsters only care about you for your mana. Mindless beasts are always programmed to kill an outsider on sight. Even intelligent monsters have an unwavering urge to defeat those that trespass into their domain. There must be some reasoning behind this, but so far, I haven't found that out. The ones profiting off the dungeons, most likely a demon and dragon pairing, want to keep them tidy for guests when they arrive. With excess mana stores available, dungeons can be healed back to their original form. A grin starts to grow across my face. New information is always so satisfying when I can put more pieces of a puzzle together. So, what do the regeneration rates of this dungeon have to do with my training? Fisher lets out a sigh, still pointing his palm high up into the air at the rocky mountain high in the sky. He brings his hand down and points at me, then to a rock wall about 100 m away from us. The words then come out of his mouth next leave me in a simultaneous state of shock, awe, and amusement. Fisher speaks. You have 8 hours to make a cut all the way through this mountain with nothing but your mana, magic skills, and a sword. Chapter 159. Still trying to process the words that just came out of the blue-haired elite's mouth, I stand with a blank expression on my face. He really said, you have 8 hours to make a cut all the way through this mountain with nothing but your mana, magic skills, and a sword. The corners of my mouth begin to curl as he stares at me with a very serious look on his face. I turn to Rylan, but he just shrugs. This doesn't help me out one bit. Unable to hold myself back, I let out a loud laugh while bending over and holding my knees. I continue to process what the swordsman just asked me to do. Cut it all the way through? You want me to cut this mountain in two? Who do you think I am? Fisher reaches into his item box and takes out his sword. Without a moment's hesitation, it begins to glow light blue. He turns to a jagged cliff overhang about 200 m away from us and gracefully swings his sword. A paper-thin crescent of almost invisible blue mana leaves his blades, flying through the sky toward the cliff nearby. Preparing for an explosion followed by an avalanche, I take out my own blade and get ready to airstep away. On impact, quite the opposite happens. The thin blue blade of energy hits the rocky overhang and doesn't even make a sound. I watch closely, eagerly waiting to see what will happen next. The blue energy attack comes out of the top of the overhand in complete silence. I open my mouth, but no words come out as I watch the massive ledge of rock separate from the mountain and fall to the dungeon floor moments later. A perfectly straight and glossy smooth cut has been made through the entire cliffside, letting a huge chunk of rock hit the ground with an earth-shaking thud. Fisher grins, putting his blade away and turning toward me. The dust cloud from the fallen rock settles as he speaks. By the end of this training session, hopefully, you'll be able to release an attack similar to that. Still, wide-eyed and in shock at the precision of his blow, I let the elite continue. Maybe I phrased myself incorrectly before. I meant, you'll need to learn to create an attack that can cut through this entire mountain, uninterrupted. I raise an eyebrow. What kind of training is this? Cutting through rock? How does this help me with mana control? Fisher throws me 2 small pink bottles, then points to my sword. I've seen you charge up at least that much into one of your blades. Try the same attack as me, throw one at the ledge. Once you can make a slice half as clean as mine, we can move on to the next stage of training. Got it. I catch the 2 bottles, examining them and confirming that they're just C-Class MP potions. Sure, I can do that. Clenching my jaw, I ignite my sword into flames, uncork the first bottle, and begin to charge up, drinking both potions with one hand and gripping my weapon tight with the other. I manage to imbue a full 5,000 MP in just under 20 seconds. Dropping both bottles to the floor, I grip my flaming blade with both hands and plant my feet, locking my vision on the cliff's half-cut ledge in front of me. Its glossy shine from Fisher's last attack glimmers in the artificial sun's light. I focus on making my mana as dense, fine, and powerful as possible. With a grunt, I swing my sword and let the black crescent of dense fire rip through the skies. Trails of crimson-red fire residues are left in its tracks. Heat waves make the air ripple behind it, distorting our visions as the hot slash rockets toward the ledge high above us. It makes contact with the side of the mountain, letting off a loud crack. It pierces through pretty smoothly at first, but begins to expand on impact, creating an eruption of flames. Medium-sized boulders and smaller rock fragments fly off in all directions. This is what tends to happen with all my attacks. They're precise on impact, but always explode into a ball of energy once disrupted in any way. The dust and fire residue clears up, and I'm left staring at a jagged crater on the side of the cliff. Fisher smirks. Not bad for your first day. For someone with your lack of technical knowledge, it's impressive you've made it this far in the first place. How'd you manage to train your mana control at such a young age? I looked at your file before you got here. You're only 20, right? I nod. The director said you've already made it to level 400 as well. I freeze, trying to think how and when the director could have ever figured this out. His appraisal skill shouldn't even show levels. Even if it does, I'm positive I was using conceal every time I entered that office. Fisher keeps talking. I'll take that as a yes? Come on, you've got to tell me how you did it. I continue to stand there without saying a word, leaving the 3 of us in silence for a few seconds. Then I reply once my thoughts are in order. The mana control is simple. I just do a lot of training. Every bronze coin earned goes back into mana refinement. Ever since I awakened, it's been the only thing on my mind. I gulp, but Fisher nods with a smile. I've done the same thing. Ever since I was picked up by the association as an E-Class 4 years ago, fresh out of high school. Every coin earned has gone into mana. I like your style. He grins at me with a satisfied look on his face. I nod, doing a few simple calculations in my head to assume Fisher is 22. Just 2 years older than me. He speaks up while I'm lost in thought. The levels, how'd you manage that? Brutus told me you managed to take down a few titans too. But they don't even drop EXP. So that couldn't have even been how you leveled. He looks up at the sky, thinking hard about something. I shrug, looking at the ground while trying to think of a reply. To my relief, after a few seconds, I get cut off as he decides to end this conversation short. Whatever, I'm not one to pry too much. That's enough gossip for me. Time for you to get to work. Fisher reaches toward his item box and pulls out a few handfuls of C-Class MP potions. I raise an eyebrow at the ocean of glass bottles pouring out of his tiny leather item pouch. Doesn't seem to end. They just keep on coming. The blue-haired swordsman pours out almost 400 potions into a large pile on the dungeon floor. "IR. These all." He smirks. "Welcome to the association. Life as an elite isn't half bad. This is what the higher-ups gave me for your training this week." It seems like they're in quite a hurry to get enough Dark Continent squads ready. Spending 100 gold on mana for a newbie like you during his second week under contract is pretty unheard of. You must have really made a good impression on the director. I don't reply, nor am I listening to much of anything Fisher is saying. I just grin, walking toward the pile of potions before me. This is my lucky day. The moment I run out of mana crystals, nearly 1 million MP worth of potions happens to fall right into my lap. The pink glow of potions reflects off my goofy grin as I approach. Fisher speaks up, pointing at the 1-kilometer-wide mountain in front of us, as I throw my sword to the ground and dive both hands deep into the glowing pile of pink treasure. When I did this training, my mentor let me figure things out for myself. I have a feeling you learn in a similar way, so I won't make this easy. Too mesmerized by the potions, I still don't bother replying. He continues, "Hey, listen." I shake my head and snap out of it. He finishes up his speech. "As you know, the regeneration rate in this dungeon is roughly 8 hours. Your task is to cut a hole all the way through this mountain by any means necessary. I want to see an exit hole on the other side. I'll be back to check on you in 8 hours if you don't come to the inn's lobby before then. If the hole through this mountain doesn't reach all the way through, you've failed and must try again tomorrow. Take as many hits as you want, but brute forcing a tunnel may be a lot harder than it seems. You'll have to get much stronger than you are now, in more ways than just pure power." "Got it." I nod. "Whatever you say." He bows his head slightly with a smile. "Best of luck, we'll be back soon." Rylan throws his hands up in the air from a distance. "Hey, come on, that's it? No explanation? No guidelines? Not even a hint? Nothing? How is he going to dash?" Fisher throws an arm around the redhead's shoulder, cutting him off. "He's got this. It may take all week, but if I figured it out when I was younger, he can too." I watch the two of them walk off back in the direction of the inn, leaving me at the base of the mountain all alone. One by one, I put all the newly acquired MP potions into my item storage. It's not my preferred way of replenishing MP, but it's a whole lot better than nothing. Once that's taken care of, I grab my sword off the ground. That strike I threw at the cliffside was the first one in a while that wasn't a dual attack. I'm supposed to be training. Concentrating on one blade may help with my focus, that's what Fisher does. So why don't I give it a try? The way that crescent of blue energy came out of his blade is like nothing I've ever seen. It was such a pure, dense, and concise attack. My goal this week is to get to that level. I just have to figure out how. I walk closer to the flat stone wall, giving myself about 30 m of space to launch another attack. With a smirk, I take out 2 C-class MP potions and begin to charge up my blade. This training session is about to begin. Chapter 160. I stare down at my black sword. It begins to glow red, flickering with crimson flames as I charge it up with 2 C-class MP bottles worth of mana worth 5k points. Fisher may have said brute force won't work, but he doesn't know what kind of brute force I'm capable of. Activating all of my stat-boosting skills, I begin to glow red and gold. I release the charged-up blast straight at the stone cliff before me. It explodes into a fireball just like my previous attack, making a deep crater in the rock. Fragments of mountainside fly everywhere and the dust settles a few seconds later. Looking at the hole in front of me, I grin while reaching for more potions to charge up a second attack. This is gonna be easy. Over the next 30 minutes, I throw 9 more attacks. This is roughly 50k MP output in total. The first 3 or 4 of these strikes are pretty promising blows. They look less than 5 minutes altogether. They blast chunks of boulders in all directions, allowing me to make my way further into the mountainside by about 5 meters each time. The problem I begin to run into after these initial strikes is the leftover rubble left in place after each explosion. When I first pictured digging a hole through this mountain of rock, I didn't take into account the fact that I'd have to put the excess waste somewhere. Luckily, I have just the place to carry large amounts of immovable matter. Spatial magic. Opening my white spinning pocket dimension that I use as item storage, I carefully move large pieces of stone from inside as I continue to dig deeper into the mountainside. With every full power attack I throw, the same size explosion is created, making the tunnel into this mountain base about 4 to 5 meters wide. I think about using both of my blades. It would surely make a bigger explosion, but the amount of physical strain one of those attacks does on my body is pretty damaging. One sword is more efficient on my body as well as MP stores. Another 30 minutes pass and I let out another 8 attacks. My breathing is starting to get heavier and the excess amount of mana being used is beginning to take its toll on me already. I'm just about 100 M into the mountain with 18 attacks thrown at it. That's around 90 KMP worth of potions. At this rate, it'll be just enough to make it though. There are 2 problems I'm facing so far. First, the time frame. A full hour to only make it 1/10 of the way through isn't going to cut it. I grit my teeth and begin charging up my blade again. I'll just have to go twice as fast. Secondly, all this mana excess usage is tiring me out. Nearly 100 KMP an hour is impossible to keep up for long. Using 1,000,000 in a day sounds insane. My joints are starting to itch with that sore feeling that I get after overseeing mana. My muscles are tightening up too. But it's not that bad just yet. I've had it way worse. I can keep this up. I just need to figure out how to improve. Hacking away at this stone wall isn't helping me train in the slightest. My mana control may increase in proficiency by a small amount from using up all this MP, but that isn't the point of Fisher's training session. There must be some kind of trick to this. Gripping my glowing blade and staring at the cave wall before me, I let out a frustrated grunt. After thinking things through for a few more minutes, I start again. All-seeing eye. Letting out another 10 attacks in record time, I make even more good headway. This barrage is complete in under 20 minutes. Along with trying to limit my break times in between slashes, I focused on the density of my mana control. I fine-tune each attack to make sure more power is stored into smaller and denser attacks. This is what helped me cut through that white wall in the Titan's domain. It must be how Fisher can cut through rocks like butter. Making my attack denser and stronger is the only way it'll cut this mountain in 2 without blowing up in my face. Right? After going all out, using up another 50 KMP and clearing all the excess rubble with my spatial magic, I lean up against the cave wall about 150 M into the mountain. It's pretty dark this deep within the cave. The white light from outside barely makes it in. The only way for me to see is with the flames from my sword after each attack and the use of my perception skill. My fingers are starting to tingle, my ankles are weakening, and a sharp pain in my lower back irks me every time I put too much pressure into my attack stance. I'm using too much mana. Over 150 KMP has been run through today, and in a very short amount of time too. I let out a sigh, using self-regeneration to the best of my ability on my tight muscles and worn-out joints while sliding down the cool cave wall. I didn't get anything done today. It's been almost 2 hours and I've already worn myself out to the limit. There hasn't been any noticeable change in my attack power or precision. I just don't have enough time or mana to figure this out. Using my perception skill hardly helps at all. I can see the flowing mana around me and watch the energy become a highly refined, dense attack before letting it fly, but I'd be able to do mostly the same thing without it. Feeling the flow of mana throughout my own body isn't too difficult, especially with the newfound level of control I've obtained recently. I let out another long sigh, racking my brain for any potential ideas. There has to be a trick. I grit my teeth, standing up while igniting my sword into flames. Fisher said I'd learn how to do all of this my own way, and brute force wouldn't work. Maybe he's right, but how am I supposed to figure this out without any guidance? I don't even know what he wants me to do. Cut a hole through a mountain? His mana control is on a whole different level than mine. I'd need dozens of times more MP to get to that level. He said it took him a full week. I don't want to spend a week meaningless slashing at a stone wall. I'm not learning anything. Placing my sword back into my item storage, I begin to pace up and down the 150 M long cave. After thinking over every word that blue-haired swordsman said, still, Nothing stands out in my mind. Angrily, I start dumping piles of rubble in the grassy clearing outside the cave entrance. There's no point in leaving these rocks in my storage any longer than I need to. Before going back inside, I stare up at the portion of cliff that still reflects light off of its glossy surface. Other than the crater I blew into the mountainside right next to it, every bit of the rock wall is perfectly smooth. How? I activate my all-seeing eye and look closer at the sliced rock above me. This is the only clue I have left to solve this puzzle. I airstep upwards to get a much closer look. Sitting on the ledge of the cliff, I start my examination. The stone surface is smooth to the touch, almost like I'm rubbing my fingers against a freshly cleaned glass window. Squinting, and bringing my head closer with my perception ability active on full blast, I let out a curious whisper. Now this is interesting. Usually, when I use my all-seeing eye on anything within a dungeon, intense mana readings pour out in all directions. Swirling clouds of pink and white energy seem to flow like air in environments like this. This rock, on the other hand, the surface that's been sliced is not giving off any readings. It's almost like Fisher was cauterizing a wound. The smooth surface of the rock face is acting like a miniature mana shield to its own magical pressure. That swordsman's attack was so thin and precise, it sliced through this mana-based dungeon material with little to no resistance at all. Remembering back to that thin blue energy wave, I realize he hardly even charged his sword. He used under a full bar of MP. With my head spinning at all this new information, I jump down from the ledge with a smirk across my face while walking back into the tunnel. So that's what he was trying to tell me. It's not all about power.